All right, now that all remains here in the last chance qualifier, one final best of three to find out who's going to be the final NA spot going on to the Manchester Major. It's going to be Soniqs going up against Space Station here. I have to ask, Fox, when you're taking a look at the bracket overall, is this the head-to-head that you expected here in the grand finals?
Oh, absolutely. I believe even on the last day of the regular stage, me and Jesse were talking about how we thought the bracket was going to go out. And I think this is play for play how we expected it to go with Soniqs playing against SSG. I did say at the start of the day that Soniqs would be the unexpected team to make it, even though that Grixer hurt his arm recently. I did expect them to get to the finals.
Yeah, I think that these two squads, just looking at them historically, have always been towards the top of North America. I think Space Station were on an upwards trajectory, even though they did lose that those couple of matches inside of playoffs. And I think that the Soniqs, we expect them to bounce back. We know they're a good roster, and especially with the move coming through, they clearly were addressing their issues.
Yeah, let's talk about Soniqs, because we got to see them earlier on face off against Oxygen to be making their way here. And being able to see how they're meshing together here, Fox, I think is really, really nice. It's really promising going on forward, especially if they can take the step.
Yeah, Grixer just coming in just adds a whole nother element of confidence. It really feels like everybody's been rejuvenized and alive in the way that they're playing and the way they're going for plays and with the way that they want to start and finish out their rounds. Everybody has an understanding. There's no real conflicting points at any point so far.
And there's someone else that we really, really need to be talking about who had a huge step up in that semifinal performance, Jesse, and that was Ambi. Honestly, from the get-go, opened up the first game with the 2K and didn't really slow up from there.
Ambi has been an absolute monster today, and you saw him there in the face cam. We talked to him in the interview, clearly juicing up before this game. He's got that juice pouch ready to go, and whatever it takes to power him, I'm happy for it. I'm here for it, because he's playing fantastically throughout the day, been that star player that we want to see him be for the Soniqs. Obviously, just a mechanical monster against Oxygen, really didn't give Oxygen any room to breathe on these rounds. Whether it was early round, late round, mid round, it felt like he was always a part of the holds, part of the pushes. He was really, really impactful. So I'm excited to see what Ambi can do today. He's been a player that's gotten some criticism at times, but really has shown to be very, very consistent and can pop off when it matters. So that's what I'm excited to see today.
Absolutely. I'm a little hesitant when it comes to Soniqs because they have gotten the first slot game. They now have just been quote unquote iced. And from a player perspective, to have played your first match and now you're just sitting cold, of course you're warming up behind the scenes, but it feels a lot better when you're able to play a game and go straight into another game like SSG did.
And there's not too much we have to say about Space Station going into this because we just got to see them play, Jesse, so we'll keep this one brief. They're looking really good. Coaching staff on top, players following through.
Certainly, and I like what Fox was saying about Soniqs. They've been kind of iced in Space Station. You may worry about them being tired, that they just had to play LBO3. That LBO3 was relatively quick. Yeah, we had the big tech delay before it started, but a fast map 1, a map 2 that was, decently long, but not the longest we've seen by a mile. So Space Station shouldn't be too out of juice just yet. I expect to see more great gameplay coming out from them, just like we saw in that match against Luminosity.
I want to follow on the conversation that we've gotten to see whenever Space Station's been playing and head to the map vetoes and talk a little bit more about that, because in both of the series that we've gotten to see, this map veto stage, Jesse, has been really, really clean, something we've praised them for, and I want to see if they can pull that out again.
Yeah, it has been, and I know for a fact these two teams went right into the map vetoes as soon as that SSG game ended against Luminosity, so I'll be excited to see where they end up going for these first couple of maps. Obviously, these two squads played against each other very many times in the past. We're going to start on Chalet. So this has historically been a very strong Soniqs map. They actually lost it the one and only time that they played it this stage. So obviously a map that, they have in their back pocket. They've had for a very long time. And a map they just watched Space Station play. Iconic just put up a masterclass on that map. So clearly Soniqs thinking, we're not going to be like LG. We can make the difference. And kind of continuing the trend. Consulate, another map that historically Soniqs have been good at. Recently, they have had their struggles. Space Station, obviously, this is their favorite map. They play it all the time, probably more than any other team in Tier 1 so far. So definitely some comfort maps coming through from both teams.
I mean, it makes perfect sense to just straight go for the Chalet pick. Obviously, they just watch SSG play it. They know Soniqs has a good understanding that they are probably in a better position than Luminosity was. So they have a lot of footage on SSG. They are able to just be very comfortable. And I think that's the name of the game right now with this map ban phase. SSG obviously going with a very comfortable pick for them. And then I do think this is the one best of 3 series so far that we might see get to a map 3, which I would love to see bank between these two teams to see who could actually close it out on a BO3.
All right, well, we got to do our predictions for Chalet first. So, Jesse, first up, how do we think the Chalet is going to fall?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we just saw Spacestation play a great game on Chalet, and crucially, that game was pretty quick, so they didn't actually have to show too much of their defensive playbook. I kind of like Spacestation for this one, to be honest. Historically, it's been good for Soniqs, but not recently, so I'm going to say that SSG take their opponent's map pick. I think it'll be close. Let's go 7-5.
All right, Fox, how are you feeling about this first map choice?
I want to agree with Jesse. I do think realistically SSG is looking very strong. For some reason, I have this weird feeling that both teams are going to win their opposite map pick. So I think Soniqs is going to win. I'll go 7-5 for Soniqs on Chalet.
All right, we got to keep it spicy here in the grand finals, all right? I like what we're kind of setting up here. And, I mean, Fox, you already said you thought this was going to be a 3-game series. Jesse, is that an agreement over you?
We'll see how the first game goes, but yeah, I mean, I think we could be here for a very long best of 3.
All right, well, let's not waste any more time then and hop into our first map of Chalet and head over to Flynn and Intero.
Oh, thank you so very much. And I don't know if the desk said this, but I didn't hear it. We were on camera for a nanosecond, which is about as much time as people need to physically see Flynn. But beyond that, this is the first time in North American League history that every single person on the broadcast is Canadian. You're Canadian, Rob. I'm Canadian. Sierra, Fox, Jesse, all Canadian. Even our head producer, also Canadian. Isn't that exciting, Flynn?
It's very exciting, and I think it's fitting. The last time we cast together was the Canadian Nationals, nearly 5 years ago. It's been a minute, brother.
Was it the Canadian Nationals or was it DreamHack Montreal?
I think the Nationals came after, but someone might actually have to fact check me because my memory is not perfect.
I mean, Jesse will be able to pull this number out. I'm fairly certain, Rob. But yeah, I was thinking back to the last time you and I worked. It was it was on Canadian soil in some Canadian capacity, which obviously is, I hate to say this word. God knows I have to cast him enough as is. But now, here we are. And I'm going to say this because I'm going to say this to your face. It's on the record. I'm glad you're back.
Hi. We got a tech pause.
Tech pause.
Yep. Nailed it. But
for people who might not know, there was a period of time where if you were casting a match, it was guaranteed to go the distance. You put Flynn on a match, it's going all the way to OT. You have the same feelings here. Look at that. I believe that is J90's room. Look at those tiles, Flynn. I thought those are nice. Oh,
those are nice tiles. Where is J90 though?
J90 has
there he is.
Summoned into the ether. Hey! Welcome back, Jack.
Good to see you, brother. It's good to see you getting back to your seat. And I mean, okay, we had the lengthy pause between games 1 and 2, and that seemingly did not throw Space Station off of their game. They came out onto Chalet, map number 1 against Luminosity, and decimated them 7-1. It was not necessarily a close one. Things got closer on Oregon, but like Fox was talking about, Space Station, they might have the momentum. They're feeling pretty hot. It's been actually a lengthy amount of time since the Soniqs actually last were in the server to start things off against OXG, and that was also a bit of a shorter series, 7-2, 7-3. So for the Soniqs, looking to get back into action and back underway as fast as humanly possible. We'll be starting on the attacking side on Chalet, and we just saw Space Station, like I said, win 7-1 on Chalet just a couple hours ago. So we'll see if they can keep that hot streak going, or if they need another tack timeout to get them back into gear.
Yeah, Space Station getting the memo that we were running a little bit behind schedule, and I appreciate their assistance in the matter. Boy, oh boy. What a turn of events this has been. Soniqs suddenly out of nowhere, an excellent team that is only improving with Grixer at the helm. They have the injured player buff right now. I appreciate that a lot. But a map like Chalet brings lots of time for trickery. And a team that knows shields well is Spacestation. They're going to have to confront one in the very first round, Rob, as there's a blitz on the board in the hands of Rexon.
There is indeed. We got EMPs coming out on the wall to deny Forrest's opportunity to trick the wall, as you were saying, Parky. Kai Claws unsuccessful in the hands of the EMPs, and now Forrest being caught as he rotates towards the pillar. Ashen first up, and he knocks down the blitz. Good response there onto the angle as well, as Forrest will back him up. Ashen the first one with the shotgun. Grixer down to about 20 HP outside the snowmobile breach as well. The nitro cell ripped into the hands. Forrest will let it fly, and it's just a tad short. Good read from Merc, seeing that Iconic would be coming down those west main stairs. So we level at a 3v3, but the health advantage strong on the side of Spacestation.
That was a very quick bout of action here. Both of these teams can be so explosive in the way that they want to go about attacking these sites. Forrest dies at the hands of Merc. Adam slaughtered as J90 gets back to the bomb site, now down through blue. Might have to worry about some of the gas from Fultz that have been thrown out in that direction. Merc now getting diffuser down. And they'll dance around it. Flashes go out. Grixer the only man to watch, and Airing 9 does its job. J90 lit up by Grixer, and Merc secures the final kill. They might have been on ice, as Foxay said, but they go over so smooth in that first round. Soniqs don't look like they've missed a step whatsoever.
Not at all. Good response there as well. Going for a split push as well. Splitting the focus, you lose your blitz as your opening death, and yet the response still well timed, especially from Merc. Honestly, very beautiful round from him all around. The return to the bomb site looked promising for J90, just as we saw his return to his seat from wherever he was before the game started. But unfortunately, it was not enough. Beautiful coverage there as well from a 50 HP Hibana, or a 20 HP Hibana on the coverage after the plant as well. So for the Soniqs, very good start. The ace is taken out of rotation. Should note we didn't actually touch on the operator bans. We lose the ace, we lose the Azami, Dokkaebi, and Fenrir. So part of that hard breach rotation that is very popular, and we saw a lot of ace in the first Chalet matchup between SSG and LG. Not going to be at the availability of the attack, and neither will the Azami, an operator which I think we saw nearly 100% play rate in the last series. So some operators that Space Station like to play, taken out of the rotation. And the Soniqs seemingly very good at, even while losing their blitz, which may have been the main agent of chaos that was intended to be brought, they're still able to respond and recover on that round.
Yeah, the blitz ultimately did not pay off the way that I think they wanted, but this has been something that we've seen quite frequently. I mean, we saw the same thing with SSG in their blitz. You thought would be a much bigger factor on Oregon, but I mean, shield operators obviously have their place. Obviously, the changes to the shield operators as well have made their potency a little bit more than we saw before. Things will be done a little bit differently by Soniqs this time, Rob. Bring out a Glass, they'll bring out a Sens, Gridlock, Brava. The only hard breacher is the Maverick that Merc favored earlier today in their Oregon match. This could be a very quick execute. Soniqs wanted something faster previously. Zigzag smoke screen with the actual smoke in there as well. There could be frost mats underneath the window, as now SQ will drone to see if they get the go-ahead. Merc now looking for something to try and maybe pick away at Fultz's feet. Ashen losing most of his HP. J90 is dead. Merc punished by Forrest, but diffuser's going down, Rob. Rexon with the coverage amidst the smoke, hops in, hops out. Grixer successful on the diffuse plant. And now the clock will run against Soniqs. SSG have to get back on in. Soniqs just watching as this time continues to go down, working in their favor. Ashen Forest lit up quite heavily as Grixer now goes on to upside down repel. A dangerous position for SSG to have to confront. Iconic will guide them on over. A potential jump out. There he goes. Net one catching up. Grixer with both kills, and Grixer will get all three as Space Station ultimately falls short on that round.
It was a really good bait. You got the Sens holograph projector coming in through the double window into games with the smoke as well, and yet nobody from the Soniqs jumps in. Everybody playing the bait. Fultz is wildly spraying through the hologram, through the smoke, towards that default plant spot. Then the second smoke comes in, and that is the trigger. That is the activator for the Soniqs to spring into action. They're getting the plant down. The coverage as well from the glass, flawless, as Fultz had to go for that wide swing through the smoke. He couldn't see a single thing. So for the Soniqs, back-to-back attacking rounds, and boy, the carousel of operators continues to turn. Quite the activation for a Glaz and a Sens, not something you see every single day. We saw some Blackbeard being brought in the last series from Space Station. Nobody's locked in an operator yet, so I'm wary to comment on the operators that are pre-selected at the moment for the Soniqs. Nobody's seemingly making any intentions to opt out of their selection as of yet, other than Adam. We still get quite the creative lineup on board, and it all disappears as soon as I get excited. It's a kitchen and dining defense coming out from Space Station as they look to garner some traction. Unsuccessful downstairs in the defense in the basement, unsuccessful in bar and gaming. It's almost the exact same script that they put against Luminosity in their series.
You made the mistake of talking about the operators before they were locked in. I mean, as much as I get positively giddy over seeing Blackbeard on the board, maybe after his rumored rework later on. Are we about to see another quick play by Soniqs? Both Ambi and Grix are on Repel. Grix are 4-0, by the way. An impressive start. Merc was 3-0 before he died in the previous round, but he had a very important job of cutting through the bottom of that back bar wall. SSG's watched a lot of these castle barricades blow open, but SQ have not wanted to break into the site just yet, and this is a bit of a slower pace than what we've seen through the first two rounds.
Yeah, they got prepped. They got in position to activate pretty quickly onto the top floor, but they pull it back. A little more reserved because there's a lot of work yet to be done. You can see the mute jammer in tandem with the castle barricade onto the bathroom window is causing Merc some headaches for the moment. And Fultz has been able to withstand this position. We saw Ashen in this position in the game against Luminosity where the repels came out and Ashen, he had nowhere left to go. He just had to swing out to safety just for an avenue to escape with. Yeah, that's not the case upstairs this time around for Fultz. He's playing a little safer. He is able to persist upstairs, causing some annoyance for the Soniqs in terms of being able to accrue that top floor control that is necessary to feel safe about walking into the bomb site. We've seen so much top control, but as I say that, Grixer says, I do not care. I am Zofia. I am walking into the bomb site.
He's just missing out on one of the heads, as now he'll circle around and he slaps the booty, Rob, but not before SSG can answer back themselves. Fultz the only one to die, so a good gamble by Space Station, but they lacked critical information. Now final minute. SSG's numbers will drop. Adam and Rexon will need to work together. Adam is not quite close to getting into the actual map itself. He's on the exterior. Jane, I know the long rotate. Rexon dies to Iconic, and Adam is nowhere to be found when it comes down to these last three players on Space Station. I mean, you played, albeit in the Canadian Nationals. You know exactly what's going through Adam's mind right now. Bullets.
Yeah, it's don't die too soon.
Bullets are what went through his mind, Rob.
Bullets are indeed what went through his mind, unfortunately. The rappel into the window, a valiant attempt with the EMP, but really it's just about killing some clock there. You're in the 1v3 in Space Station, as active as they have been in these engagements and as active as they have been in these series so far in the last chance qualifier, they're certainly not going to chuck a 3v1 off a cliff and give it back to you for the 3-0 lead. So Space Station, they needed a win to get onto the board. They're successful at repelling Grixer's aggressions into kitchen. So like I said, there wasn't really any top control for the Soniqs. They accomplished a little bit of soft breach upstairs, taking care of some of the castle barricades, and they're able to displace Fultz momentarily from his position inside of Master towards the hatch. He had to duck away to the chimney to play more safe, away from the angle of the big window. But other than that, not a whole lot accomplished for the Soniqs top side. So Grixer says, okay, I'm going to be the initiator, and jumps into the bomb site. And he goes 1 for 1, which isn't the end of the world. But the rest of the team, the follow-ups, they were caught by Space Station. So it was a good response from SSG on the defense. And once again, we now turn away for Space Station to try and tie things up. It's been a common theme for them, unfortunately. They dropped the first 2 rounds on Oregon, then had to go on a tirade to bring it all the way back and win. 7-5 was the final against Luminosity. No tack timeout required as of yet, though. We go back to Bar and Gaming on the defense for Space Station.
Well, maybe not the round result that Soniqs wanted, but don't look like they've missed much of a step. Of course, this is their map. The desk is very happy for the Soniqs to get the maps that they got. I will be intrigued to see what comes of Consulate, though, Rob, because, I mean, if you look at the fact that Soniqs traditionally do really well on these maps, then, yeah, I think the map pool suits them. But this is not the traditional Soniqs lineup, and we can go all the way back to, what was it? The last event that Soniqs missed was the Charlotte Major. This team's in a very different look for all those years. Now, Soniqs have a very different look from what they did 3 weeks ago with Geo.
Yeah, and I mean, like you talked about, Grixer playing on the injury, certainly not playing like it right now. 5-1 and looking to take aim as he vaults into the lobby in the cover of smoke, able to work his way down the fireplace stairs in towards the basement to get underneath the bomb site. Potentially go for a rotation over towards the blue stairs. There's a runner upstairs, though, from Space Station. Looks like that was Forrest out towards the office balcony. So, widespread here for the Soniqs in terms of the attack. Still not dispatching of this top hold towards the library as of yet. They don't have the smoke operators or the ability to see through the smoke as they did the last time they approached this bomb site. The good news for them, though, is that even with top control held here by Space Station as a swing comes out from the top of blue stairs, that's just reinforced if they wanted to send it into the bomb site. It looks like they're just going to send themselves to an early grave.
Yeah, I mean, full send is definitely a mantra to live your life by, but, maybe not always. Soniqs reduced to just 2 players now, SSG in a 4v2. But I mean, you got Rexon and Ambi left. Rexon and Ambi, by numbers, 2 of the best players to suit up today, and certainly had their moments in the matchup earlier today. I would probably put good money on them in the clutch. How well can they work together, though? And the better question is SSG going to give them a helping hand in order to make this clutch possible? Final 30 seconds now. Soniqs walking into the bomb site. Down goes Iconic. Rexon with 1. Numbers are doable, but Rexon will need to grab hold of that diffuser and get that plant off to find safety here, but he doesn't really know where these last 2 players are for Space Station, so a tough spot. Rexon will go for the diffuse plant. Falling off. He's got a read, and he loses the gunfight to J90. He had information. He didn't have the aim, though. SSG win the round.
Again, good response and good hold topside. Space Station able to swing into some advantageous angles and take the Soniqs by surprise as they were loitering outside a little bit. Loitering around the outside of the library balcony, the piano balcony, and taking their time in terms of how they wanted to decipher and attack the top floor hold with a lot of focus towards the basement as well. So very spread out attacking focus for the Soniqs. It was successful in garnering them the first 2 rounds of this map, but here comes Space Station. Again, it seems like losing 2 rounds is the indicator for everyone on Space Station to lock in, whether or not it requires call out to remind them of that fact. Now for Space Station onto the defense, trying to put 3 in a row for a clean sweep of objectives to take a lead into the half, which, I mean, Chalet is not the most defensive-sided map that we've ever seen, certainly not this stage either. And for right now, they are at least in a very solid position, grabbing those back-to-back wins on the defense. They surely won't want to stop too soon, and we're getting closer and closer to locking in some operators, but we did again get off operators that would have been very fascinating to see from the Soniqs. I think going back to something a little more reliable, a little more sure-tested for the Soniqs right now is going to be necessary. So you want to get back in the driver's seat here. This is your map pick, but Ashen, he's not going to let that happen.
Well, I mean, I don't know if people are aware of what the 4 letters at the end of Forrest's name means, but if you do know what those mean, Ashen lived by that acronym in that particular round. Rob, I'm sure you know what it means, right?
No clue.
It means let your hang.
Fair enough. Fair enough, Forrest.
I asked him. I had no choice. I was like, what does Lin mean? And that's what he said. He said, letting your hang. Now, if you're wondering what the word is, it's kind of like a legume. This is similar to it, you know? And that's exactly what Ashen did in that first round. And it's Ambi, of all people, who dies as well. The Zofia is gone. You know how important that soft destruction can be. And, well, SQ will have to do it without now.
Problematic here. And again, we're slowing down for the attacking side of the Sonics. Everyone just kind of taking a breather. You've lost Ambi, like you said, that soft breach, very crucial. The Azami isn't in play, so you have less of that explosive range soft breach to focus on for the time being. These are Rooney gates as well. They're going to be infuriating, catching up and requiring utility to be thrown in. Grixer on the pre-fire through the bathroom window. He's not going crouch height, and that will end in him falling off the roof to be down. Fultz will catch the rappel. The Sonics, they get off to a 2-0 lead, and all of a sudden it's falling apart at the seams.
Well, I mean, barring a miracle, this certainly looks like it'll be 3 in a row for Space Station. Chalet doesn't strike me as a map that, with the way these teams play and the numbers that we know on Chalet, should be tilting so heavily in favor of the defenders. This is one of the rare maps where, today at least, the defenders are actually doing well. Attackers have been better across the board for both of the matches that we saw. And, I mean, Chalet has that long and storied history of being an attacker-sided map. Obviously, is not the case always. If you just look solely at the numbers for the NA League, it's a 45-55 with a Hegler 54, but effectively a small advantage in favor of the defenders. Vaulted now from Rexen as the time is continue to tick away. Rexen just got siege timinged on that one pick. He and Grixer are so low. All Space Station needs to do is just wait for them to wander over, and there you go. Job is done. 3 in a row from Space Station, but that round was over a minute and a half ago.
Yeah, that was, again, an opportunity to try and salvage it if Space Station were going to be reckless, if they were going to throw discipline to the wind. And boy, in a game to go to the major, they're just not going to give you that opportunity. Yeah, we're going to talk about falling off the roof, but also the opening kill battle, because this was a struggle for Space Station coming into this last chance qualifier, opening deaths left, right, and center. And yet nowadays, especially through these games that we've seen from Space Station, the opening pick has been acquired more often than not, and it's led to a lot of freedom for these players to feel like they can make plays without putting their teams in tough positions. Whether or not it results in the round win after the fact, it just must be alleviating not always playing from your back foot down a man. Ashen gets the opener, and we see someone from the Sonics fall off the roof, unfortunately. And it begins to spiral from there. The rappel into Solarium also very bold, not clearing. I believe it was Jane I know on the solar stairs, just playing, I'm going to rappel in and shoot you in the face before you can shoot me. And unfortunately, the Sonics were incorrect on that matter. And now for Space Station, trying to make it 4 in a row. Man, a streaky team, at least displayed thus far through the last chance qualifier. 3 in a row, looking to make it a 4-2 half. They go back to kitchen and dining, with Forrest laying prone underneath the game's window. Okay, man. Good luck.
I mean, he's letting them hang again.
He is indeed.
This is such a goofy spot to play in, and it's honestly so easily punished as well. Big gamble from Space Station to have Forrest be in that spot, but if there's one thing we know about Forrest, he likes to play, what's a nice way of saying it, predictably.
Certainly does. I think right now for Merc, he's trying to assess the situation, understand, does Forrest have help or is Forrest just being Forrest? And I think that drone is going to help identify the fact that, yeah, Forrest is just being Forrest. This is what he does. Now Rexen trying to make his entry into Library, knowing that the Frost is rotated away from Games Room. Ashen taking a little bit more damage, but at the meantime, he's able to rotate backwards, and Forrest has made it all the way upstairs now to the top of the blue stairs, help pinch in towards the top of this Library hold. And again, the Sonics are able to get into Library. They are unable, for the moment anyway, to be able to proceed any further. They are able to get into games, though, as well, so a bit of a tandem approach on both floors to try and progress back across towards the bomb site.
Merc is miles away from this bomb site, clearing the southern portion of the map. First casualty is Rexen. SSG continuing on the now hot streak that they found themselves on. SSG started 2-0. J9O gets a read on one more player. Could have given SSG a small break, but instead, walking backwards, Grix are eliminating Ashen, and with 1 minute to go, Soniqs cannot get bogged down here. Space Station winning all of their duels, Rob. And now it's all up to Ambi in a 1v3.
Yeah, Ambi trying to walk his way into the front door, and he's going to spot Forrest out of his peripheral for a moment. Now he's hitting the beep boop as he walks in through lobby, trying to recollect the diffuser. It sounded like a nitro cell went soaring as well. So Ambi, as he has collected the diffuser, will sprint on in as fast as humanly possible into the bomb site, and it's all for naught as Fultz will shut it down. Space Station, they drop the first 2, they win the next 4. They head into the side swap, up 4-2.
Yeah, quite an impressive result for them. But again, if you just go based off of pure numbers here, from the way that North America plays this map, the advantage is in the favor of the defenders. Even if we thought the same thing of Bank and Chalet earlier. And I mean, you can't really pull much statistics from the SSG-LG matchup on Chalet earlier because it was only 8 rounds and 7 of them were won by Space Station. It wasn't an attacker or defender-sided map. It was a Space Station-favored map. And it didn't really matter what side they played on. Honestly, I mean, Soniqs got off to that strong start, but maybe there is something to what Foxay was saying about the fact that SSG got their reps in and are coming in warmed up.
Definitely. Being able to kind of roll in and be able to play off of a win with momentum, feeling energetic, feeling warmed up, and wherever J9O went before the game started and he had to return, you know, you got a little bit of a break, but you're able to just keep that momentum and keep the comms flowing as well. You're able to be warmed up, not only mechanically, but as a team with some teamwork. Very impressive to see that SSG's been able to carry that kind of momentum over and pick up randomly in games. They drop a couple rounds. This is like 3 times in a row now that we've seen this from Space Station. They decide to flip a switch and everybody kind of clicks into gear. And the synergy between these teammates have looked a lot better than what we saw through the group stage.
No, both of these teams are playing, dare I say, their best Siege that we've seen since the beginning of the North American League this year. And I mean, if there's ever a time to bring your A game, it's right now. You are 2 to potentially 3 maps away from making it to the major. Both of these teams are on quite the streak when it comes to making it to represent North America. There was a bit of a spanner in the works, though, and that was called Beast Coast. They took one of the major spots, which means the typical 4 teams from North America that we've gotten used to seeing, M80, DZ, SQ, and SSG, well, one of them, unfortunately, cannot make it. And you're looking at one of the 2 teams that will not represent North America.
Yeah, it's the tragic part of someone resurging. It means that someone needs to fall out of that top 4. And it just so happens it will be one of these 2 teams, whoever does not come away with the win. I was going to credit the Soniqs for being able to get away very early on. Grixer was pinned downstairs. There comes Ashen, getting the opening pick once again, this time on to Merc. So it means that the Soniqs are once again playing from a man deficit. Grixer's taken a little bit of damage, but he's been able to escape the clutches of the Jackal of Iconic downstairs. But as I say that, now he's dropped down to about 20 HP. Candela's come out from force for the top 4 control. Very strong position to be in for Space Station.
Ashen drops to Ambi. They were waiting for it, expecting him. Now it's Forrest to take up in that same position over by Piano. J9O dies to Adam. Forrest was looking the wrong way. Explosions galore now. Candela's primed. And it'll be a utility dump, but Adam using those Maverick holes to great effect. Losing the duel, though, to Iconic, who's traded out, and it's a monstrous round from Ambi to kick off the second half.
Yeah, Ambi. He's young as hell with the worst gun in the game. Very nice play up there with the UMP. Hey, man, you got to get it in there every now and again. I think right now for the Soniqs as well. Beautiful response. Again, you dropped the opening pick, which is unfortunate. And it should be said as well, like you said, both of these teams have been playing very well. The Soniqs as well. Like you said, this is the best Siege we've seen from them so far in Stage 1. Very nice timing, as it is do or die here in the grand finals to get to the major. I think for the Soniqs as well, Merc has been involved in a lot of these opening engagements. They haven't necessarily gone his way every time, but being a constant threat and constantly probing at Space Station, who have proven, especially in that game against Consulate or against Makers on Consulate, that they can surrender opening picks. They can be caught off guard and start to be put into situations where they need to claw their way out of troublesome man counts. And yet they weren't able to for the beginning portion of that map against Makers. So the Sonics still rebounding quite well. They win their first defense. By no means is this thing over. We got plenty of time left here on Chalet. Now for the Sonics, a little bit of a role change. We got Rexon now onto the Solus to wander around, and Rixer over to the Malusi, Merc onto the Mira. So we're making some significant role changes in terms of personnel and operators. And most notably, we're changing the bomb site now after a victory over to Bar and Gaming.
Well, there's been a couple rounds today, and a number of rounds through Atlanta and onwards. Ashen made his international debut that he can just will his team to win rounds. Iconic used to be in this position as well, and we saw it a lot when he was on the Astralis roster. Of which, by the way, most of the Astralis roster is now on the SSG roster. So Astralis might have left the scene, but the team certainly didn't. Bastion can have these singular rounds, as we saw actually Ampy have a couple of those rounds in the matchup earlier today. Then it'll be a very interesting best of three where both teams just have these superstars trading back and forth.
You see as well, the approach for Space Station trying to get in downstairs. It was a big focus the last time they played Chalet. I think right now for Space Station is they're detecting a run out, so it doesn't really matter who's on the Solus for the Sonics. They will be flying, and they will be trying to get in your face, which is what we want to see from these roamers for SQ. Much like the Sonics on their attacking half, initial progress made. They find one beachhead, but not a lot of progress made there on out. It's a minute or halfway through the round now. We've got a Surya Torch coming out onto the storage reinforcement to make any life of Merc inside of that back storage on the mirror window very difficult. Always have to worry about his flank, but Forrest as well. Played the Montaigne the last time they played Chalet against Luminosity. He didn't have a whole lot of effect with that operator.
A slow-paced round so far, with SSG having a shield on the board of a Monty in the hands of Forrest. Of course it's going to be Forrest playing the shield up. Rexon trying to retake above, gunned down by Iconic. Ashen on the board as well. There goes Ambi, not before Ashen is taken out by Adam. Advantage, though, still for SSG is Forrest unsheaths the pistol from behind the shield, netting a kill. Adam sees the Monty, sprints over towards Library, and, well, got some more reading to be done because he did not pass the test. The test was survive the round. SSG takes it. Honestly, that previous round looked like it was shaping up so well for SSG, at least at the onset, before things collapsed in the final moments of the round. It would have been intriguing to see what SQ would have done if that had been an SSG round, because SSG would have them on the ropes. Still, though, Space Station in great shape, 5-3 scoreline as your screen shows, and well, I think this is probably the right time for Goddess to talk to the team, do a timeout with the Sonics.
Certainly. My only worry is that that also means that Callout gets to speak to the team. Worrisome, just given the track record for Space Station thus far. Post-tac timeout. It's usually their own, though. I haven't really seen an enemy tac timeout spring them into life as of yet. But you never know. We still got potentially 2 more maps after this to be played for Space Station to bring out everything from their war chest. For the Sonics, like you say, 1 round away from map point. Problematic. So time to call the timeout, readjust, and decide how you want to approach this SSG attack, because it really was looking, like you said, very good for the Sonics. They were able to stall out topside for a very long time, not forgive or really allow any Space Station members to get into the building and acquire map control. And all of a sudden that flood topside from Space Station then turns into the bomb site execute at the same time. SQ members unable to withstand the volley of force being brought upstairs. So they'll head downstairs now to the basement, try and get back on track, bring it back within 1. I mean, we saw SSG on their defensive half. They had struggles to begin, and then they really turned it on to round out the first half.
The scoreline really shows you more than we can speak about. Oh, I almost saw the black beard. I almost did what you did. Saw J90 rocking it, and I was like, please. Alas, not to be had today. I mean, Sonics had those 2 great rounds to start things off, and since then it's been 5-1 for Space Station in terms of rounds 1. And I mean, I guess the worrying sign if you're Sonics is that just going back and forth trading rounds, not good enough. You need to start winning multiple rounds in a row. Once you get consecutive round wins under your belt, and those numbers start to look a little bit more favorable. fact of the matter is that if you just trade back and forth based on the way that these sites work and the fact that it's Soniqs defending and will have to go through their own rotation for these defender sites, SSG will end up winning 7-5. This is Soniqs' map. You certainly don't want that to happen. Can't even really pinpoint anything on this Soniqs team that's going wrong. It's just SSG have almost ascended to another level. SQ looked fantastic in their matchup against OXG. Now it's SSG against LG looking good. And is it because they're on fire today, or was it LG maybe not the strongest of teams? Well, they're bringing the hurt to Soniqs, so I think the answer might be that SSG's on their game.
Definitely. I think for the Soniqs as well, they're still trying to find some footing here on roles. Like, there is a roster change here. Merc is going to spring into action, but he's going to get droned out at the top of the blue stairs. We've seen the Solus now trade hands to a third member of the Soniqs. So here making some sweeping rotations. Adam, though, will spring to life with the Vector towards the snowmobile breach. So Ashen, who've been reaping a lot of bodies as the opening kills, will find himself being the opening death in round number 9. And that is very good news for the Soniqs to be able to get that onto the bomb site as well. Apply more pressure for Spacestation to complete the rest of the clear, because Ambi, for the time being anyways, is going to be locked down from the line E1D. He had no intention of leaving back to the bomb site. He was going to stand and fight for the majority of the round, and Iconic will put an end to that trouble with 1 minute to spare.
It's a very greasy position by Merc. If he goes undroned, he can do some serious damage here. Spacestation don't have that same front forward shield operator that they had before, so somebody else will have to be the main point of entry. And I mean, most of the time it's usually Forest. Look at all this confidence in the world if they're droned downstairs. He'll march his way down, but wait for the fire to linger and wait it out. Final 30 seconds. Spacestation could move to match point with a successful round here. There's work to be done before they get there, Rob.
Iconic pushing his way down the blue stairs all the way up the shoulder peaks. They're not spotting him, and Iconic wins the engagement against Rexon. Now he's got blue control with pings, Malai, and EOD. Forrest will be trying to initiate the plant, and now Iconic pushing into Snowmobile, but here comes Grixer with the Alda, and no, it's a team kill at the very end to give SQ the man advantage. Forrest attempting to put the bomb down into the overtime. Adam has none of that. He'll get the opener, he'll get the closer, and the Soniqs bring it back within 1.
Things just get so messy for Spacestation. And this, honestly, it reminds me a little bit of OXG's attacks in the matchup that we saw just before, where they would either have an advantage or they'd be well situated, and then chaos would ensue. All hell would break loose. And it was like they got to the final 20, 30 seconds, but the final steps were just, they didn't know what to do. They were just out of reach. And it gives Soniqs an opening. And with the way these teams have played over the last couple weeks, Soniqs improving as a team, then making the change to bring in Grixer, or bring back Grixer to be specific. And suddenly, both of these teams are quite evenly balanced, despite the fact that Soniqs were towards the bottom of the standings in the North American League. You cannot give a team like Soniqs any openings. They'll punish you for it. They will make you pay. And that round was a perfect example. Spacestation took a little bit too long to gain map control. They took a little bit too much time. Iconic second-guessed himself. Instead of pushing through blue, he tried to isolate any of the defenders who wanted to retake. Looked over towards Connector, but didn't see it. And then, yeah, team kill comes in, and the whole round is falling apart at this point.
I think right now for the Soniqs, you're feeling pretty good being able to bounce that win. Able to survive the onslaught, losing control of blue, but still able to work your way out of a tricky situation. It's an unfortunate one there for Rexon, as he was shoulder peeking that door at the corner of the hallway. Now Merc again, trying to get aggressive onto the Solarium windows. Rexon, just an unfortunate streak thus far, sitting at 2-8. Used to seeing him doing a little bit better. He has moved on to some more supportive roles in the midst of this roster change that Soniqs have made before the LCQ. We're not going to see the crazy tallies of kills that we're used to seeing coming out of Rexon every single game in previous iterations of this roster. I think right now for Spacestation, the approach for this kitchen dining defense is very much grab the top control, which is the step that seemingly everyone has skipped thus far. We've had a couple of attacks onto this bomb site that have attempted to gain some top control, dissuade some defenders from playing upstairs. And then they've given up about halfway through and tried to make something out of a bottom-up approach.
A quiet day so far for Fultz. God, I just can't get over that Russian housing on the scope. Every time I see it on like one of the non-Russian operators, I just can't wrap my head around it. It still throws me for a loop. I don't know if you feel the same way with the optics. But big fan of the optic changes, and I'm a big fan of the way it has slowed down certain gunfights, and it's punished teams that weren't maybe the best game sense-wise and strategic. And the teams that were just gifted with mechanical aim have had to adapt, and maybe it's been a bit of slow adaptation.
My God, Merc. He springs up from behind the trophy case. Forrest is holding from West Main, and yet he walks away to safety on about 60 HP. Here come the Grimbees. Ashen collects onto Merc finally, taking him out of position in trophy. Ambi, though, from the kitchen doorway. He'll go 1 for 1, and Forrest will trade that back out, but the retreat back to the bomb site from Grixer now. It's Fultz and J90 who are in the bomb site, but not for long. J90 is actually topside as well. It's the diffuser on the floor, and it's another 1v3 for a Space Station attacker to work their way out of. Adam, Grixer, and Rexon all left standing off the bomb site. They still feel like they're in a very strong position. The pre-fire from Grixer will reveal his position. The wide swing around the corner, and he wins it out anyway. Fractured shoulder or not, Grixer is firing, and the Soniqs have leveled the score.
Well, this is exactly what you want to do when you take your time out, right? You immediately convert the next 2 rounds. You come out on top, and obviously frustration's not going to set it on Space Station. They're almost like the little brothers of Dark Zero, where there's no way to enjoy a Dark Zero game without severe heart palpitations. And with the way that SSG has been playing the last, 8 months, you've always got to fight for every inch of every single round. Chalet is no different. I will say, the top right of your screen, you'll see the Chalet image with the Soniqs logo over top of it. It means that this is SQ's map. The fact that SSG had the lead for so long on this map, and more importantly, are as competitive as they are, bodes well for their chances. It's entirely possible that we need Bank as the decider between these two teams. Frankly, I think it's obviously possible that we go out in 2 maps, but I don't think we go out cleanly in 2 maps with what we've seen so far from Chalet. I don't know if you would back that up, but I figure either Chalet or Consulate will have to go to overtime. And then maybe a 3rd map will be required either way.
100%. Everything we've seen out of SSG so far leads me to believe that overtime is essentially mandatory. If we were going to walk away in a 2-0, I would actually anticipate it being the Soniqs. Just honestly, with how clean they were against Oxygen, gave me a lot of confidence for this team heading into this grand final. Obviously, the technical pause, not the most ideal of circumstances to delay their start of the grand final a little bit longer than they initially anticipated. But nonetheless, games started to get away from them a little bit. 4 rounds in a row for the favor of Space Station. And yet again, they continue to bounce back. Resilience seems to be the name of the game for every team in this North American Last Chance qualifier, because everyone has been in a hole at some point, seemingly barring the Soniqs up until this map.
Well, back on all reliable for Forrest, as the Monty will gradually move his way over towards this bar and gaming bomb site down on the main floor. Forrest was expecting a bit more resistance upstairs, but Soniqs weren't particularly keen on fighting a shield head on, and I mean, who would be?
Seeing the rotations come out now. Again, Forrest trying to find the entry point, trying to find the way in towards the bomb site. The smokes come out, but he's being flanked by Merc. Good catch there from Ashen as Forrest is being lit up from behind. With the shield, he perseveres. Still on a relatively good health pool as well for how many shots rang out from that P90, but here comes Forrest again. He gets the kill with the pistol. Full ADSing is the Montaigne. Ashen, though, will get caught downstairs. Rexon springing to life. He sounds like he's doing battle with Forrest now, as Ambi is trying to ascend the blue stairs to provide some support. J90 collects Grixer off screen. So now it's a 2v4 for the remaining 2 defenders on the side of SQ to work out of. Make that a 1v4. Make it a 0v4. Space Station able to respond with a valiant attack of their own, and they will put themselves on a map point.
Well, a heck of a time to suddenly break the momentum that Soniqs had built up. You take your time out, you win 2 rounds. It looks like you might just be developing a deeper understanding of how to go about this map and how to best outfox this SSG team. And then, of course, they push you to what will be the final round of regulation. Admittedly, we knew this was coming. It was a 5-5 scoreline. One of the teams had to move to match point, and now it's Soniqs who will be on the ropes. SSG, obviously favoring these shield operators, but not this round. Here's that Spacestation will sub off of an operator that's actually been paying off quite well for them. And I mean, far be it from me to try to tell Spacestation how to be a team. But the Monty is working. I haven't really seen any signs of it slowing down, so you might want to bring it, but maybe not for this bomb site, Rob.
Yeah, I think the bomb site is just the pure indicator here to swap off. And actually, as you say that, Force is going to bring it back out. So even with the bomb site being downstairs, you know, they had so much success, again, entering through Snowmobile Garage and the Blue Stairs approach last time around. Honestly, if it wasn't for that team kill, then maybe Force could have gone for the plant with some coverage. Nonetheless, cracks open the Montaigne once again. I guess as you were alluding to, Parker, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Space Station trying to steal a map away from the Soniqs.
And this could be a quick round, depending on how they want to use it. Breach opened up right away, but nobody from Space Station is really much interested in doing anything with it. You'll keep that open, and the thing is that Soniqs will have to play the guessing game as to whether somebody from Space Station is looming over by that part of the map. The Monty will almost assuredly go trench. That would be my guess. And there we go. God, I love being right.
You were talking about your big brain earlier on as well during the first matchup between SQ and OXG. You had some pretty good predictions.
Yeah, you know, I love to talk about the things that matter to me, you know?
Mm-hmm. The exothermic comes out onto the wall now. So Space Station in a very strong position. Oh, the Forest taking a whack load of damage as he tries to walk his way into the bomb site, pushing up. He's the man with the diffuser, and he is laid to rest in the hands of the Soniqs.
It's halfway through the round as well, so time will not favor Space Station, and suddenly the odds of overtime have soared. Ashen taking a lot of damage from Blue. That's what, the TCSG in the hands of Rexon. You know how much damage that thing can do. Is that a nade that went off? Suddenly Rexon has lost over half of his HP. He was hurt before, but now he's even worse for wear. Only player on Soniqs, not at full strength. Rexon's trying for at least 1 or 2 more shots on that open breach. He doesn't find anything for it. Final minute. SSG within striking distance of putting the Soniqs map into SSG's win column.
Mark still over in the kitchen as the Solus, though. The flashbangs come out, the shots ring out through the soft wall. Nobody can find the head of Merc, and Adam will actually come in and collect faults. So now we are careening quickly towards overtime as Merc perseveres up against the kitchen soft wall. Adam in support came up by Bar and Blue Stairs. So now the pinch onto Kitchen is leaving SSG in a world of hurt. Adam with another one on Iconic. Ashen is bleeding out on the floor. Make it 3 on the round for Adam with that Scorpion. And the Soniqs, they pull it back on their own map pick to force overtime.
And flawlessly done as well. How many flawless rounds have we seen between these two teams? Soniqs had a number of flawless rounds in their matchup earlier today against OXG. SSG did the same thing against Luminosity. And of course, Soniqs will take a flawless into overtime. Space Station will use their timeout before a single round of overtime has been played. And this is an intriguing thought process. What do you think leads a team to do this now instead of waiting 1 round in?
Well, if anything, I would just look to the record of TAC timeouts for Space Station so far this LCQ. We've touched on it a few times, but they have just gone on some meteoric runs after calling a TAC timeout. Callout has seemingly been able to identify some of the issues that Space Station have had in these LCQ games, and within 45 seconds is able to completely turn around the fortunes of Space Station and their performance. Other than that, it could be a different tactical approach being required. We talked about the Montaigne. That time around, Force kind of wandering in on his own. This might be an adjustment for Space Station to try and change the tactical approach in terms of the usage of the Montaigne. This Force is cracking it open once again.
Well, for now.
For now.
For now, Rob.
I'll never learn my lesson.
Is Forrest still playing a shield operator right now, Rob? What was he?
You know what, Parker? He's not. So maybe that's what the timeout was for.
Maybe you spoke too soon again.
Again. Yes, maybe.
Again. Yeah, that's
maybe
exactly,
I did.
it's exactly what happened here.
What I will say, though, is the Soniqs have a fourth. Yeah, so Merc playing the Solus last round and now playing it again. I believe this is the fourth player on the Soniqs to play the Solus. I think the only player on the Soniqs roster who has not played Solus thus far through now 7 defensive rounds is Adam. And he's got a Scorpion in his hand. He needed a lot of good work with it last time around. So again, these role changes, seemingly site to site, a lot of variance right now for the Soniqs in terms of their operator consistency.
Look, there was next to no recoil on that thing with the couple kills that he got in the previous round, which, I mean, if anybody's used the Scorpion, you know that that is absolutely not the case. Running these castle barricades now, if you look at Space Station, a bit of a struggle there with the Rotero drone, but at the end of the day, Ashen makes it work. Ashen and J9O will be your primary soft destructors here. Forrest not running with the secondary hard breach, so well up to Iconic. 4 Claymores, by the way, and SSG have used them all.
Yeah, I guess Space Station very wary of anyone trying to go for a run or go for a peek. But even with the Claymores out, I mean, you've got Merc on the Solus who's going to try to be that aggressor. I don't think those Claymores are going to be long for this world. They could just be a nice sound cue as here comes Merc. And I guess he knew of the air jab on the other side of the trench door. So he's going to rip down the door, impact the air jab. And Evil Eye's being used to deny the hard breach onto Rexon's wall inside of offices. He's playing right up against the breach as well. Very aggressive stance being taken here from the Soniqs, but it's doing a very good job at slowing Space Station down.
Iconic giving all these calls as he'll look to spearhead this offense. Explosive potential of both these teams has been, frankly, quite absent. It's been a very slow and almost methodical style of siege so far on Chalet, and this is a map that is not really one that lends itself to the slow and methodical. This is usually an explosive map, and you've got 2 teams that can be so explosive. Neither of them, right now, setting a tempo that, well, maybe not. Hold on a second here. Soniqs goes for the run out, the triple run out, and they slaughter Space Station. Rob, suddenly it's Ashen who he flashes himself, dives in, hits the deck, and back-to-back flawless rounds from Soniqs propel them to match point.
Am I mistaken, or did we not see back-to-back flawless rounds from the Soniqs in their game against Oxygen as well?
Yes, I believe so.
Incredible performances being brought by the Soniqs here. And again, it was match point put against them, and they respond by getting 10 kills and having 0 deaths. And you see the laugh from Merc. You can see the smiles coming out from the Soniqs. Don't let these face cams fool you from time to time. These are high stakes. This is the major where you are staring down the barrel of a lengthy off season if you are unable to qualify for Manchester. If you do qualify, then there's plenty of Siege left to be played. But right now for Space Station, they find themselves on the precipice. Good news is it's not their map pick. This is the Soniqs map pick. So all things being even, you would be expecting the Soniqs to win their own map choice. Heading over towards Consulate, though, is a map where we saw some struggles, to say the least, against Makers yesterday. So maybe the map ban phase going slightly in the favor of the Soniqs. I will try to prevent myself from speaking too soon on either operators or prognostications of future events when it comes to score lines, because Space Station have also brought themselves back from the depths on a couple of maps so far through the LCQ. And it's only 2 rounds they will need to secure the victory on the Soniqs map choice.
Well, it was right before the timeout was taken that I said that Sonic needed to start putting up consecutive rounds in order to take charge of this map, and that's exactly what they did. They took their timeout, they won the next 2 in a row, dropped 1 round, and then 2 in a row after that. And that's honestly exactly where they need to be. Based on what we've seen from these teams so far, though, it's inarguable that we're in a defender-sided Chalet. But Sonics have still shown they are perfectly capable of winning on attack. If you're Space Station, you have to play practiced. If you watch the matchup against LG, SSG maybe did a small bit of trolling on a couple of those rounds. Maybe just a small bit of trolling. You cannot do that against a team like Sonics, not with the way that they're playing today, not with the way that this new roster has shaped up. SSG needs to be poised, and they need to punish Sonics. Did you see that, by the way? The grenade went off and caught his drone right as he threw it. That's unfortunate.
I did indeed. And we're dealing with some more soft reach going on. Ashen, I guess, maybe not reading that was going to be a Gone 6, removing his shield from play, because boy, did he try and face take that situation. And J9 No dropped to about 30 HP off screen as well. We approach the midway point in the round. And a lot of Sonic's defenders, while they have been applied some pressure towards, they haven't been cleaned up as of yet from the Sonics attack. The good news is that Ashen is still allowed to persevere on this half wall inside of Office. Shotgun comes out, trying to play point blank range up against the breach of the Office wall. Ashen going straight up against the balcony door frame as well. This isn't going to be enough to dissuade him from holding this position. The Sonics are going to have to do a little bit more to force him out. Grixer does still have a frag grenade, though, push towards that door, but Merc, he will be the first casualty at the hands of Fultz with 60 seconds remaining.
Fultz just missing that opportunity as the vault over goes through. Now Grixer will test Ashen's reflexes. Suddenly, Sonics have taken the advantage, Rob. Adam on 14 kills. Been saying his name a couple times today, but that is a lot for one player. It's not the Ambi show this game. It's not the Rexon show this game. It's Grixer on 13 kills, no more for this round. Fultz looks to break double digits. He's 2 kills away. Adam will now survey this opening. SSG hold the top floor still. Fultz is up there. Flashes go in. Rexon around piano. Fultz has been sensational. That's his 3rd for this round. Down below as the shots go. If you're SQ, you gotta pick up the pace. Time is running out. Ambi with the kill. He holds onto the diffuser, swatted away at the door frame. Adam will have to drop and promptly run out of time. All 15 rounds needed between these teams.
Listen, the community poll was, I think, a difference of 2% between these two teams, 51-49. We're going to see all 15, and we're going to have a difference between 1 round to decide who goes up 1-0 in this best of 3 series. I wouldn't have it any other way, because these teams have both, on either side of the bracket, looked phenomenal and have made significant improvements, evidently, from the way they were playing through the group stage and, in Space Station's case, in the playoffs. I think right now, for both of these teams, like you said off the top, Parker, this is the best they have played. It's going to need all 15 to decide who is the winner. The Sonics, they will be on the defense. They will elect to go downstairs to Snowmobile and Wine Cellar. Right now for Space Station, they were down 7-6. They were down a couple times. They were up a couple times too. It's been a seesaw match. Nonetheless, it comes down to one final round. Who can reign supreme? Who can come away victorious? On map number 1 will be the Sonics on their own pick, or Space Station stealing one away, heading to their map pick of Consulate. No matter what, Consulate is coming up after the conclusion of this round, and both of these teams want to be in the driver's seat heading into the map.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Dust talked about how Consulate is historically a decent map for Sonics too. So if Sonics are able to eke out a victory here, and I think given that we're in the 15th round, eke is the perfect word to describe it. Sonics are able to eke out a victory here, then it's gonna get very troubling for Space Station. I was expecting a wilder, more rowdy Chalet, but we didn't quite get it. My hope is that Consulate will at least live up to that billing. I mean, we want rowdy, we want chaos, we want violence, but these teams want to go to the major, so they're going to play maybe a bit more poised. That's what we've seen. In previous rounds, Space Station needed to be poised. They were great on their defense. It's a lot harder to be poised and pull off an attack, especially with the way that Soniqs likes to roam on so many of these maps. Spend a lot of time to drone out both Merc and Ambi, and you might find yourself only 20 seconds left on the clock and an execute to still go.
I think the big thing here is for Space Station, look at the operator lineup. We've got every piece of soft breach you could ever want. Got the IQ to find some gadgetry onto the walls to facilitate the hard breach, and then we bring the Jackal and we bring the Deimos. We are not allowing anyone to escape our clutches on a roam clear, because now that we have the snowmobile breach open, we're able to apply a lot of pressure down towards the bomb site now through lobby. It's holding for any flanks from up above and Force carrying that diffuser. Look at Space Station. They've got a lot of clock to work with here and not a lot more utility to burn through either. Looks like a blue silhouette still stationed over towards kitchen. So as much talk as we had for the roam clear, there it is springing into life. Ashen will claim the life of Ambi. That was the flank. It's down to the 4 remaining members on the bomb site for the Soniqs.
Boy, oh boy, what a statement this would be for Space Station to win this round and win the map away from Soniqs. Neither of these teams have dropped a map so far in the closed quals. The only team that had was Luminosity. They're not here anymore. I was saying the proverbial rubber, proverbial road. Pretty sure I said that earlier. The coverage for Space Station be better this time. Yes, it looks that way. They lose out on Forest. It's still a huge advantage for Space Station. They've got plenty of time. It's all up to Grixer. He's got that Alda. Plenty of bullets. We'll have to hold this defense together because Space Station have just planted the case. And they're looking to go up 1-0 towards their own map. Grixer swinging, and it's iconic. Ascend SSG up 1-0 and take SQ's map away from them.
Yeah, and it was time control and making sure that they knew that there was never going to be a possibility for the flank. You bring that much soft breach, you want to make sure a defender does not get above to use it against you when you try to flood into the bomb. Honestly, great adaptation for Space Station to be able to bring out that lineup and walk Ambi down and make sure there was no flank coming from the Solus or anyone else at any point in time. A lot of clock to work with. They did a great job at pacing their utility burn. And now for the Soniqs, like we said, it was their map pick. It's an 8-7 loss. It's an 8-7 loss. Very close one. They do lose their map pick. We now turn our attentions towards map number 2, which will be Consulate, which was Space Station's map pick.
And honestly, Rob, it's anybody's matchup. I could easily see an 8-7 for SQ there as well. But let's not get ahead of ourselves because we've still got at least one more match to play, and it's gotten quite late. We'll be back in just a few minutes as SQ and SSG rolls on.
All right, in our finals here, it is going to be Space Station in overtime. The final round that we could get to be taking the dub. I mean, it was a little bit torn on which way this was gonna go, but honestly, Fox, it was so back and forth. It really could have gone either way.
No, it absolutely could have. I mean, when we saw SSG get 4 defensive rounds, especially on Chalet, Chalet's more of an attack-sided map. When they got that 4-2 split, I was like, oh, okay, well, no problem. It's about to be a smoke show now. And then all of a sudden, Soniqs started making it come back. They brought it to OT. I mean, from start to finish, I felt like a real masterclass game. This is by far the best game I've seen of the LCQ so far.
I'll go one step further. I think this is the best game I've seen of the entire stage, including throughout the NAL groups and playoffs. This was such a good match between Soniqs and SSG. It really felt like a battle of pace changing. You know, the first couple of rounds, Soniqs were getting the rounds on the board. They had some good strategies. Then SSG started playing a lot faster, a lot more aggressive, like they have in many of their games so far. Big part of that, of course, was Ashen making so many of these aggressive swings. We saw a lot of those aggressive moves going the way of Space Station. And then I think in that second half, you know, we started to see that rein in a little bit. Space Station were still dominant on the entries. You can see Ashen 8-1 statistically for the opening picks there. But what we saw from Space Station was they started to slow down a little bit. When Soniqs themselves kind of started to take that pace, we saw the triple run out in round number 13 to start us their overtime. Incredibly back and forth, so many clutch rounds, just a fantastic game from start to finish.
And we saw a little bit of everything from SSG, and I'm glad you brought up that triple run out because they love to be able to keep you on your toes, and Chalet is a map where you can absolutely do that. And they know that Soniqs is a team that likes to get aggressive and is in that same kind of realm of teams that SSG has been playing leading up to this point. And now they are kind of the final boss. And when things get a little too quiet, you see the wheels in SSG's brains turning, and they instantly can flip it on their head, go for something aggressive like that just to kind of reality check the enemy team that they're playing against. And Soniqs did keep in, they did really keep pretty close and fair, but they did just end up losing it right at that last round. That last overtime round was just a really step-by-step finish by SSG.
We're talking about the wheels turning for SSG, but we got to talk about where the wheels were turning on the end of Soniqs here, because Jesse, they were the team that were sitting on the sidelines. They got to kind of sit, reflect, and think about it, and they brought that into the game.
You're absolutely right, Sierra. You know, I said before this game started that Spacestation, they only played 2 defensive rounds on Chalet earlier today. There's probably not a lot that Soniqs could glean from that. But really, Soniqs took those 2 rounds and they learned a lot. They noticed that Spacestation, when they defend on the game's bomb site, they really do like their roams. They take a lot of their players and they send them out towards Kitchen, over towards Master, and most importantly, they don't really play any explosives in sight. No smoke, no C4s, nothing to really deny a plant without the visual aid to actually shoot it. So what do Soniqs do? Well, in the very short period of time they have before this game starts, they come up with a brilliant glass send strategy. I guarantee you this is something that they specifically stratted based on what they saw from Spacestation earlier today when they defended on Chalet. It worked out beautifully. This won them their second round. And obviously, because Spacestation didn't have that much tape, especially in the other bomb sites, Soniqs couldn't rely on these types of plays to win the entirety of the first half. But it did get them going, and it did push them at least all the way until those 15 rounds. So you've got to credit Soniqs where they really were putting in the work. This was one of those fantastic rounds that I thought the brains of SQ really came through.
Yeah, and we mentioned the downside of being Soniqs right now, which is they were just iced. They had to sit down, they had to wait, and maybe at the end of the day, that's what gave SSG that last little edge in that last round. But this is a huge positive to being able to sit back and watch your team, is you can absolutely come up with these things that Jesse showed you, strategy on how to execute, how to get a nice little round off, and obviously it worked phenomenally for Soniqs, but it just wasn't enough to get them over that finish line.
Well, it's time to do our predictions for the next map here as we're going to Consulate. And I mean, even if Soniqs were to give that one up, even if they're a little iced out there, I mean, Fox, you said that you believe this was a series we could be trading map picks. Are you sticking true to that?
I definitely think so. I mean, I think Consulate, we just saw a round that Soniqs was able to completely counter, and I know Consulate is a map that SSG loves to play, so if there's a map that I think we'll get another maybe overtime game, I definitely think maybe SQ could take it away on Consulate, but I feel like SSG is such a momentum team, I don't know.
Ooh, all right. Jesse, do you have a prediction going into this next one?
Listen, I think we're going all the way once again. I think this will go 8-7, but just like last time, I'm worried for Soniqs. I think Spacestation, when you get down to it, are the most clutch team inside of North America, so I'm going to pick them to go 2-0 on this one. Fox is correct. I believe SSG have played Consulate more than any other professional team in the world. They've played this map, so there is footage for Soniqs, but it's also a big comfortability factor coming through from SSG.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely gonna go with let's go with 8-6. 8-6 for SSG.
All right, I think we're going double overtime on this one. We're talking about going the distance, and we're actually, you think, Fox, we're going the distance?
I don't necessarily know if we'll get to a map 3. It really depends. Soniqs could come out the gate swinging, or I think they could just fall like flat on their face. It really depends on how SSG treats this map.
All right, well, time to see if there can be the bounce back and if we can take this into a map 3 here. And for that, once again, head on over to Flynn and Nintero.
Thank you so much. Flynn Taro with significantly more hair on my side, significantly less hair on your side. There was a period of time where you had the long hair and I was bald. And now, on the turntables.
Good times.
Not really.
I still have those photos of you bald. You get photos of me bald.
Putrid bald. The difference is that you don't take photos of yourself. I didn't even know you didn't have hair until I watched you on the broadcast the other day.
Yeah,
you talk like every day.
That happens. Yep.
You talk every day. You don't think this would be something that you might want to point out? No. You kept it a secret. Now, as the top right of your screen shows 8-7 the score line on Chalet. Now we go to Consulate. This is SSG's map. Where do you land in particular on this map? Do you think Soniqs have a fighting chance? Or do you think it's Spacestation who will blast off to Manchester?
No, I think, again, starting on the defensive side, we saw some troubles with Space Station's attacks, most notably against Makers on this map. There is the, the 6 rounds in a row caveat there that, yeah, they were able to pull out of a 6-2 scoreline and win it 8-6 in overtime, matching some of the predictions from the desk. I think right now for the Soniqs, you're still in a very strong position. I mean, it was an 8-7 loss. The unfortunate side of that as well is that Merc and Rexon trailing behind their teammates a little bit, but I think you saw some really good performances continuing on from Ambi. I mean, that's a guy who was a little colder than expected during the group stage, and yet throughout the LCQ, Ambi has been electric. Adam has been firing on all cylinders, and Grixer, again, coming in cold, coming in just for the LCQ after the group stage and making the change away from Geo. He's also been phenomenal, and again, has a fractured shoulder, so he's doing great. You get a little bit of an elevation from Merc and Rexon, and all of a sudden, that 8-7, it could have gone the other way. This could be the Soniqs starting on the defense up 1-0. The good news for Space Station fans out there who want to see them return to international events is that they did come away with that 8-7 victory. Really good adaptation mid-game. We saw that on Consulate against Makers, and we saw that in that last round on Chalet as well. SSG able to adapt to what the Soniqs are bringing. It's some very good responses. It's very impressive, and I do agree with Jesse. It's probably one of the best games of the stage thus far.
Not quite do or die just yet. At least not for Space Station. Definitely do or die for Soniqs. Their path to the major seemed impossibly long just a couple weeks ago. I like Geo very much. That team playing the way they were with Geo on the roster, I don't think they make the final 2. I certainly don't think they are anywhere near as competitive on that first map with SSG if they make it to the final 2. So already, while it's no consolation prize, I think it's a great bounce back from Soniqs with this new roster.
Definitely. We saw this yesterday as well from Space Station. J90 able to get underneath with the Twitch drone and use the verticality against the defense to pop the Goyo canisters towards CEO window. And while they were doing that, there was focus on the admin side when they were playing Makers. They got forced all the way downstairs in the garage, trying to use the skeleton key up from underneath. Gonna go 2 floors of soft destruction. It is possible. As you can see here, he's all the way in the basement. He's applying pressure to the bomb site. The good news is for the Soniqs, nobody's in range of any of those shots coming out. Ambi's actually to take aim with that MPX. Now the EOD comes out. Fultz is launching out some Ds, potentially to clear away the Wamai magnets. This is a really good setup here for Space Station. They're going to have to withstand the onslaught of utility coming out from the Soniqs, and there goes Merc picking up Ashen for the opener.
That's exactly what you need to start off with, right? Ashen of all the players on Space Station is the one that needs to stay strong, as we've seen through so many of these games. And, well, you don't have access to him. You don't have access to those Lion scans. It puts you in a bit of a predicament. You know, force down below with the skeleton key, and Fultz pulling off that diffuser. Here's Rexon to swing. Who's watching? It's iconic. But he misses it. Oh my, oh my, oh my. They were anticipating it. They knew it was happening. Soniqs telegraphed the rotation. Forrest missed it. Iconic missed it. And Fultz dies because of it.
And we saw that in the game against Makers too. The coverage from the rappel, unsuccessful. Here comes the shotgun through the floorboards. J90 with a good response though. He's on 20 HP. Iconic is going to try and reattempt the plant now. And I know on the coverage has to be better than Iconic was previously. And he certainly is now with a quad at the DMR. Iconic pulls off the plant and J90 gets shut down. The plant is now completed as Iconic will bail out the CEO window. And now Adam between a rock and a hard place. He has the health advantage. He's got another impact. He's positioning himself over towards the yellow stairs, potentially go for the run out, but every drone on the planet is catching this rotation out of Adam, and he'll rotate back up through connector towards the CEO window. He's gonna have to contend with Iconic, bait him out to take the peek, take the gunfight. The shots ring out, attempting to stick. Iconic, the coverage was poor the first time, and he makes up for mistakes made previous.
That's exactly the type of leadership you want from your IGL, and a big reason why Space Station sought out that player, pulled him off of M80, and well, sent hot and cold over to Beast Coast, who aren't quite in as precarious a position. Beast Coast have already made the major. First time that the team has had a chance to even play for an international competition, and quite an impressive result. They've been a big surprise. Soniqs have really been the other surprise for me in the NA League, but not in that same direction. While I was pleasantly surprised by Beast Coast and thought that they could be a team that could make top 4, top 5, top 6, certainly didn't expect them to dominate the entire league the way that they did. I didn't expect Soniqs would have such a wicked fall off. I wasn't aware that Grixer and Citizen were so integral to that team's staying power. I mean, Citizen is a tremendous player, one of the best players in the world. He's M80's crown jewel now.
5 seconds left.
It just took some time maybe for Adam and Merc to get situated, and then shipping off Geo has really opened this team up. Did a good start in that previous round. They were aided a little bit by sloppiness. And boy, oh boy, it's good that Iconic was able to redeem himself at the tail end of that round.
I think for Space Station as well, there were a lot of question marks about the roster change after the fact, but beforehand, it seemed to make a lot of sense. You talked about the old Astralis roster, and how it has been rebuilt here, in a sense, on Space Station. You know, there's nothing against Hot and Cold. It was just reforming a roster that had a very, very good run at the Sixth Invitational in 2023, and it was a very competitive roster in North America. And yet, it did not go the way they wanted, at least not in group stage. And similar, like you said, for the Soniqs, roster changes begetting a little bit of hiccups to begin the group stage. But now both, having found their footing, stand one map away from Manchester. It's a trade-off rip, but Ashen goes huge for 2 on the Dokkaebi. The entry upstairs with the SMG-12, Fultz falls, so you lose the ability to jackal track, but you still got phone calls to clear out anyone who remains off the objective.
What is happening? 3 people die in the first 45 seconds. What a... All right, well. Lost the Jackal, but with Merc and Grixer dead, you got to imagine that most of the roamers are gone, but Rexon is roaming by main lobby as well. Guess your job's a lot easier now that there's only 3 players on Soniqs that you need to watch out for. Just waiting. Patiently. Menacingly.
Well, that phone call is going to be able to reveal the position of the defender holding out inside of Visa. This is a good spot to be in. Ashen is sprinting directly at the bomb site. The flashbangs come out. It was all quiet on the Western Front, but all of a sudden Ashen springs into action. It's another quad kill for Space Station, this time at the hands of Ashen, and he's holding for the ace. Ambi's on 20 HP, and J90, he'll steal the ace. Look at Ashen's reaction. He can't believe it, and immediately he goes to say, okay, let's reset, let's calm down a little bit. But it's a 2-0 lead, and it's all smiles on the side at Space Station.
What did we used to say when we talked about this old Astralis roster back in the day? They were a vibes team. SSG is, in many ways, the spiritual successor to Astralis. This is the same organization that won a world championship. The only remaining player from that team is Fultz. Everybody else has been shipped off to greener pastures. Osco was the quals gatekeeper. Ian Rampy reunited on wildcard. They ultimately faltered in the quarterfinals of the last chance qualifiers and will not be present at the next major. You got Canadian there at least. And now Fultz has an opportunity to make his mark and join his former teammate at yet another international competition, albeit on a different roster. As long as vibes can remain high for SSG, then, well, things will typically go quite well.
5 seconds left.
Here's the most concerning number right now, Rob. Consulate
Attackers are moving out to
is
locate a bomb and
tied
defuse
as the second most defender-sided map played in North America, only trailing Skyscraper. It's tied with Nighthaven Labs, but Consulate does have 8 more rounds played, so, I mean, a slightly larger body of work. Every single bomb site is defender sided, and yet SSG has cracked open this map 2-0 right now, with both of their victories being on attack.
Yeah, I mean, the first round, oh my lord, Ashen is flying in the building, and he has no desires to slow this match down. He feels the vibes, he feels the momentum, and he gets the opener. Like you said, though, the Soniqs, I thought starting on the defense would be a positive for them. The first round, albeit, probably should have come the way of the Soniqs. The shotgun, it turns the corner again. Ashen hits the knife, he shakes his head no. The flank from Merc denied, and all of a sudden, it's again a two-man advantage for SSG. The Soniqs on the defense right now, having some extreme struggles. We have seen them pull back worse situations in the past.
Last three remaining players of Soniqs now, all corralled over by that B bomb site, all on the basement floor. Rexon might be looking for a retake onto the main floor. You're in rough shape right now. Ashen is still hunting. And all the time in the world. Spotting the pulse. It's two players from SHQ right now. SQ are flying under the radar. Ashen doesn't need to do much. Keep in mind that if Ashen just sits on Spiral right now, holds off the potential cross, that leaves 4 players from SSG to deal with this bomb site. Those are favorable numbers for them, and then Ashen can spring into action. He'll pick up his 3rd kill. 7 kills through the last 2 rounds. Looking for more than that, a quad to be had. Forrest credited with the kill. Spacestation are playing with their food right now, Rob. Ashen doesn't seem to be aware, and well, Adam is looking lost. Another 4K, back-to-back 4Ks from Ashen. That's 3 in a row from Space Station to start this second map.
If I'm Ashen, I'm a little heated. I feel like that's 2 aces that have been taken away from me. But at the end of the day, you take the 3-0 lead on the attack on Consulate all the same. Space Station right now, they are winning the entries. Every single round, they are winning the entries, except for round number 1, where Merc got the opener on to Ashen. So if Ashen is left alive, dear Lord, it's a nightmare simulator for the Soniqs. For Space Station, again, it's early days, but it is winning attacking rounds on Consulate. You're now 4-round victories away from booking your flights to Manchester without the necessity of playing Bank, which I think heading in, most of us predicted we were going to need 3 maps between these 2 teams. This is going to provoke Soniqs to take their tactical time out. We need Goddess to speak to the team, get everyone back on the same page, and hopefully be able to repel Ashen and his wizardly abilities on the entries. Right now, Ashen is flying high. J9O is following up, but Ashen right now is leading the charge for the Space Station team. And like you said, Parker, he's trying to take them directly into orbit and land them in the UK.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Very, very different orbit for this Space Station team than the start of the season. Soniqs looked so promising against OXG. They really did look like they could take this 2-0. And honestly, my money was on Soniqs heading into this matchup. But after that grueling first map, you gotta wonder if, oh, maybe they just don't have anything left in the tank. SSG played that back-to-back, but it wasn't a harrowing match against LG. It was, apologies to Luminosity fans, but it was relatively quick work from Space Station to get us back on track in terms of timing, and they're really feeling themselves. No time to cool off, get put on ice, as Fox A said on the desk. And boy, oh boy, does it ever look like SSG's feeling it.
Well, Ashen is off the Amaru as well. He's onto the Nomad. And I think, yeah, for this Space Station team, they're continuing that momentum they picked up in that matchup against Luminosity. I agreed, though. I really did think the Soniqs looked clinical against Oxygen earlier this evening. Right now, they're just not finding that similar form that even they just had a map ago. They looked good on Chalet. Good adaptations, good responses to difficult positions. Right now on Consulate, though, Space Station seems to have their number. And it is becoming more and more evident as time passes as to why Space Station opted to select this map as their pick. It's a difficult position to be in, picking a map like this or Skyscraper, because you know your opponent is going to take the defense to begin with. Grixter, though, he will stop the run that Ashen was on in terms of opening picks. Iconic, though, will walk straight into Copy on the rappel, and he will trade that out onto Merc. So you lose your opener in Forest, but you're able to trade it back out, still at a 4v4. You only lose the line in the process.
This is 3 rounds in a row, by the way, where Soniqs just don't seem to have a good wherewithal as to SSG's entry. You know, in the previous round, felt like 2 or 3 of those kills that we got to see were literally just Soniqs looking in the other direction. It was a criticism that I leveled against OXG in their match against SQ, and now look at this. Grixter gets caught in a rotate. Space Station just has such a great understanding of this map and seem to know where SQ is going to be before SQ actually gets there.
The air jab detonated on towards the projector window as Rexon got sent onto his backside. I'm just amazed at how Iconic has been able to dart in and out of the map. He darts in, gets a kill, immediately exits the map, and he's always coming in at the perfect time. Now it'll be his job to cover once again, although Ashen's here to support as well. It's just about baiting out this utility once again as Iconic takes a little bit of damage off screen. With the coverage in place, Space Station looking to go for that plant with some better coverage than they had back in round number 1.
It's time for Ashen to walk in now, and with the advantage that SSG has, one more pick will put a lot of hurt on these remaining SQ players. Ashen will survey all that he sees above him. All 8 of Ashen's kills coming in 2 rounds, by the way. There's a 9th. Rexon falls. SSG looking for a 4-0 right now start. As Adam is on yellow stairs, makes an awful lot of noise and will now trudge back to the bomb site as the diffuser will run against him.
Loading new mag.
Shot out by J90. That's the round. My God, Space Station looked good.
4 in a row and the tactical timeout for the Soniqs. Unsuccessful at quelling their woes. They did get the opener. I'll give them credit for that. They got the opener. They changed the course of history there a little bit. But Iconic said, I'm going to enter the map for, I think he was in the building, actually in the map for maybe 20 seconds in that round. Yet he gets 2 crucial picks. He gets the trade onto the Mira over towards admin, and he gets the pickup of the Soulless downstairs, which is going to be the indicator of when that plant is coming through and applying that vertical pressure. He hops in through the bench's window. He sweeps straight over towards Piano, and it's lights out. Caught on a rotation. The Soniqs now down 4-0. They've lost the ability to even tie the first half after starting on the defense on Consulate. Very troublesome position to be in. Good news is, go back downstairs, down towards the garage, still on the defense, still in a position to at least salvage the half at a 4-2, make life a little bit easier for themselves when they have to convert to the attacking side.
5 seconds left.
Even due to slow SSG down right now.
Attackers are moving out.
Potentially 10 minutes away from a express flight over the next couple weeks to the United Kingdom. SSG just continues to cycle through these different operators as well. And really nothing working for Soniqs. Merc, 1 kill. Adam, 1 kill. Ambi, 0 kills. Through 4 rounds of action, those are not the numbers that you want to see. SSG have barely missed a beat so far on Consulate.
Well, it looks like they just missed their first one as they're trying to EMP away from the Kaid claws, and there's a lot of action towards this breach that is going to force Forrest to pull off his exothermic, saving it from the electricity that then came out. It's Bandit and Kaid towards the wall with a hole that was opened up that could eventually be used for impact tricks as well. So nightmare scenario for anyone trying to hard breach onto the garage. It's going to force Space Station go more for a top-down approach. And I mean, yeah, we've seen this before at a Space Station. They've been able to convert on the top-down before, but here comes Merc. On the flank, makes his way into connector on the opposite side of CEO. Troublesome news is that Ashen's on the Jackal, and now Merc has been droned out. At the top of the yellow stairs, he's going to try and find an escape route. Looks like his hatch is reinforced and there's nowhere to go. Ashen trying to lock him down. They will tap fire at one another. Merc will take the losing side of that engagement, but at least he is still standing and able to rotate now towards CEO, and he wins it out. He cannot go for 2 though. Iconic has his teammates trade, but look at the damage that Iconic received as well.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the Deimos track on him. The death mark is there. Obviously, you don't get to see that, but you'd hope that Fultz is able to give that information away. I will say, though, I am amazed that that wasn't a headshot from Ashen onto Merc. It certainly looked like it should be. Forrest, you've got to move the reticle down just a little bit as he sees the Fenrir of Rexen. Scoot on by. We go for a different avenue here, Flynn.
Gonna have to. We got another Deimos track coming out onto Grixer. So that Bandit, the opportunity to flank. Looks like it'll be denied. It'll be Ambi who tried his troubles up towards Visa Hallway. Instead, now he'll look towards the spiral stairs and he will ascend super shorty in hand. Seeing how devastating that secondary shotgun can be, but Forrest, after all the troubles he had to begin the round, is able to accomplish the hard breach. 20 seconds on the round, the smokes come in, pouring in, obfuscating the vision of the defenders. Now the plant, it's going down from Forrest. Can anyone stop this? No, the plant will be successful. Many bodies fall in the process, but it's a 2v3 in the post plant. We got Ambi down on about 25 HP, Adam on basically 1 HP. Shotgun holes being made up above as Ambi tried to attempt the flank, but now J90 just needs to hold for the clock and help support Forrest, who's evacuated outside of the hard breach. There goes J90 for 1. The return down the yellow hallway. The Soniqs, they're able to respond and they win it out in the post plant. They will get their first round on Consulate.
I understand what J90 was trying to do. He didn't want to overpeak. He didn't want to overcommit. And ultimately, I think it's the right decision in the end, even if it costs them the round. But you take a chance there. You maybe peek pillar. Look towards break room, get that early pick, and now you can shore up your defenses. You know that somebody might be coming down yellow. There might be one player playing from above. Forrest can just simply wait it. The moment that J90 died, Forrest instinctively swung to try to trade it, which usually is a good idea, but when you're in a numbers disadvantage, the moment you swing it back, your opponents are going to try to swing it back on you, and that's exactly what Soniqs did. And these are small things. Always being in lockstep. I refer to it when we talk about Beast Coast as they're a sticky team, as they're always like stuck together. You're always looking at multiple players from Beast Coast at the same time. They always advocate for the buddy system. Well, Soniqs played that post plant so well. That garage plant is a nightmare to retake because you can be miles away and still have an angle on the diffuser. And it's incumbent on the defenders to push out and take that engagement. Forrest was maybe just a little bit too close to the breach to try to trade off J90, and both of them lose their gunfights, and because there's enough time, Soniqs win the round.
We're going to go around the world here with the Soniqs as well. Their final defensive round of this first half, lest we go to overtime, which the Soniqs might be desiring at this point, given their struggles on the defense. We're going to go to a 4th bomb site now. Piano and Exposition coming out from the Soniqs. Try and salvage, like I said, that 4-2 half. Not completely unrecoverable at that point. If you can replicate some of the attacking prowess that the Soniqs have brought, you're still looking in a very strong position to be able to force out map number 3. And worth noting that Space Station did win Chalet 8-7. They now stand 3 round wins away from booking their spot at the Major in Manchester. Now for Space Station on the entry, they're doing a lot of damage to Ambi. I think that was from a frag grenade up from the roof from Ashen on the Lion. That's a lot of damage done that we don't typically see anymore from frag grenades.
It's very rare that they do any real damage. I feel like half the time they're just used to confirm kills at this point. That and zoning out the players that might be in that direction. We saw Iconic try it on blue on Chalet. Forrest is now on the Amaru, by the way, and Merc roaming unsupported dies yet again. This is the 6th round in a row that Soniqs have played one person all on their own with no help, and they have died. SSG's full clear of this map is just simply too good at the moment, and there's no answer from Soniqs, Rob.
Folds now inside a projector, gets away from the pinch coming from two defenders who are trying to stack up with one another, but Ashen, he's flooding the kill feed yet again. J90 tags in, and it's just Rexon alone. In a 1v5, he trades to eliminate the flawless round, but Ashen throwing up his hands, seemingly in exasperation at the ease of which they're able to acquire these attacking rounds. It's 5-1 Space Station.
So I would like to break the fourth wall for a second here, and I would like to read out something that was said by a good friend of ours, Carter Hannafeld.
Oh,
Who
no.
happens to go by Casting Links, aka Lin NNNNNX, because he's got multiple N's, not multiple X's.
Mm.
And he said,
Being defused by
gotta love SSG's role swap. Ashen gets back-to-back 4Ks on Amaru, so why don't we give it to Forrest on round 6 instead of have Ashen have it? And guess what? Ashen gets what? A 4K on another operator entirely. I don't know how to tell you this. It was actually a 3K. But Ashen doesn't care. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
who plays it. Ashen is still going to inflict that pain upon you. A 3K, they walk in, they assert themselves. Phenomenal first half for Space Station, by the way. Excellent on their entry. Extremely good drone work. Very thorough, complete full clears. Soniqs do not support their roamers. They get picked off mercilessly. Whether there's a Jackal on the board, whether there's a Deimos on the board, whether there's a Lion on the board, whether there's a Dokkaebi on the board, whether you're just simply using drones. Soniqs had zero answer for Space Station's entry. And now the half that you see is not wrong. Consulate, as we said, is the second highest win rate for the defenders in the North America League. And yet SSG just won 5 attacks on it.
Oh, baby, and I don't think we're slowing down anytime soon. We saw Forrest with the shotgun at the top of the server stairs to the exit reinforcement. Now, it's popped open the wall. With that shotgun, Adam finally cluing into the situation. He was upside down repelled right outside the Visa window. Ashen as well spotting the Inox scanner coming out from Merc's Jackal at the top of the Visa stairs. Could Iconic tag in with the Nitro Cell, waiting for the call from his teammate? He's got the Nitro Cell prepped, and he's going to hold off the patience. I think he's just going to play it off the audio. The descent down the Visa stairs begins for Merc. He's going to have footprints and the Nitro Cell. It'll be a little too early from Iconic, but you can see the aggression being brought out from Space Station very early on in this round, trying to put themselves on the map point, series point, major point, and there goes J90.
Trickster dies in the hands of Space Station, and suddenly this round, far more winnable. Merkin all on his own again. This SQ team is just so spread apart right now, all tasked with doing their respective duties, but none of them working together. We've seen teams pull this off. Dispatch players all over the map. One of the first teams to do this in full that I can remember watching was that old Vertical Gaming roster that eventually became Rogue. The problem is that if you're just having an off day, or if your opponents have your number, there's nobody there to back you up. Soniqs are continuing to lose players without any trade potential. That's not good. Not with the way that SSG's playing at all. Ashen sees one, lights up Adam. Fultz dies. Fultz yet to get a kill, but that's okay. J90 is 10. Ashen is 13, and we've only seen 6 active rounds of action.
This is truly incredible, and you can see J90 taking some more damage. So much vertical soft destruction being accomplished by the Soniqs. But now they're worried. After Ashen got that pick onto Adam, the Deimos trying to hold the flank from the Visa side. They're worried about a flank coming out from Ashen. It looks like he's returned down to the bomb site. Good news for the Soniqs is that they don't have to worry about the flank. The bad news is they don't have a lot of time. First pick and now a second one for the Soniqs, though, as they start to push into the bomb site. We've got top coverage. Rexon, a Terminator at the front of the yellow doorway. And there goes Merc from above. The Soniqs able to answer the proficiency of which Space Station attacked onto this map. And they are away from map point and series point for at least one round longer.
It's not like SSG doesn't know this territory, Rob. This is exactly what happened to them against Luminosity very recently. SSG looked like they had the matchup in a chokehold. And LG started to storm back, only for Space Station to break their hearts at the final moment. It's the reverse of what happened with Makers in the matchup yesterday, where it looked like Makers was going to stun the world, and then SSG decided that was enough. It's a scary thing when a team can basically determine when they're done playing a series, but
The location of a bomb.
over the last 2 days, SSG is a team that can definitely do that. Good roam by SSG. Soniqs, again, their entry was largely unsupported, but SSG fell back to the bomb site maybe a bit earlier than they wanted. They got caught in a couple rotations. They got caught heading back in. And then at that point, you've just got such a sizable advantage that as a defender, you need to swing. You need to take chances. When you're down and you're in like a 2v4 and you're a defender, you're going to see defenders, depending on the bomb site, of course, you're going to see defenders try to swing because if they don't swing, they're just sitting ducks. And they know that it's an inevitability that they will get trampled and overrun by the attackers. That round in particular, SSG maybe a little too slow to get back to the map, to the bomb site, and it cost them.
Well, here we go again now for Spacestation, the opportunity to put it onto map and series point. One interesting thought did cross my mind, though. What if we have just entered the Twilight Zone? What if we have found ourselves in the middle of an attacker-sided Consulate? It's what it'll need to be if the Soniqs are going to pull this one back. But honestly, with how much Spacestation have played this map and the Soniqs with a good record in the past, you never know. This could be an opportunity. We've been talking a lot about Spacestation being able to win those attacking rounds. The Soniqs being able to answer could put us in a very awkward situation given the statistics and the history of this map, the way that it usually plays out. Good news is for the Soniqs, we are once again surviving without suffering an opening death. We do have Ashen to worry about. He's going to be pushed back a little bit further with the asphyxiating bolts. The smoke comes out and it doesn't appear to be hitting Ambi. The sprint comes out at a desperation, but the plant, it's going down.
Oh my goodness. They get away with robbery in broad daylight. Rexon, the only casualty for SQ. Ashen died. The smoke's just not working. Now it's a nitro cell to thread the needle. J9O is just waiting for the rappel a little bit closer, and he will need Forrest to give this call. Bolts dropped. Things working out well for SQ. Merc surviving the nitro cell. Now it's Iconic down. On it is Forrest, but his shield doesn't save him. It's an easy pickup for Merc. J9O hits the deck, gets one kill, but Soniqs have answered back. They find 2 in a row. They will need a 5-1 half to go to OT. A 4-2 half will not get the job done. SSG still has a timeout in back pocket as well.
Are we there yet, Parker? Are we in the Twilight Zone? Are we going to see an attacker-sided Consulate go all the way? Man, I think it would be the first one in a long time that I've seen so far this stage. This has been a very, very poignant and suffocating defensive map to witness and competitive in just about every region thus far. But both of these teams demonstrating the ability to execute some attacking rounds onto this map. And I think right there as well, Ashen, unfortunate the smoke wasn't hitting the planter. At the same time, the sprint across was never gonna work out. Iconics has his struggles on that CEO window in terms of covering, but 9 times out of 10, a Pro League player is going to hit that shot from the rappel. I'm very curious how, if Ashen knew the plant was going down and he was able to sprint into action, the players down below for Spacestation didn't have that information and couldn't stop the plant from underneath with the verticality. We saw 2 defenders in that post plant down here in Piano. So, interesting scenario that Spacestation found themselves in, and it looks like J9O, he wants to ramp up some of the aggression, try and put this thing into a coffin early, peeking at the yellow stairs window.
Oh, if you look at that first half, the things that we complimented SSG on, their ability to roam, their entry, their drone work, they're full clear of this map. Can't do that on defense, obviously. And if we look at the things we wagged our finger at Soniqs over, it was that, well, their roams were unsupported. You're not going to be roaming unsupported on attack. Your entry can be unsupported. And for the most part, we actually did see a few amount of unsupported entries from Soniqs. That's their strategy. And on attack, they already look far more comfortable than they ever did on defense. So, the greatest strength that SSG had, oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my, oh, Ashen, LYNH, baby.
LYNH indeed. The opening pick, again, I want to see Ashen's entry stats after this map, regardless of the outcome. Ambi, though, he heard it, he saw it, he witnessed it happening, and he almost caught Ashen with a mistake there to give them the opening pick once again. Grixer bringing up the bees upstairs from the Grim, but Adam being dropped now. The repel in response from Merc will trade out Faults. Now you've lost the blitz. Grixer falls as well. It's the diffuser surrendered. At the top of the yellow stairs, the impact comes soaring. Merc, he's the last man to prevent match point, but there it is. Space Station up 6-3. One successful round away from the major in Manchester.
And this is what I said. You cannot have a 4-2 half. You have to do what just happened to you. If it's a 5-1 half from SSG, you have to respond with that. Anything less, and you're done. SQ looking much more confident. That round, well, Ashen, very kind, lets the air out of their tires just a little bit with that run out. And then it looked like immediately Soniqs were very quick to try to extract some vengeance onto onto SSG. And it didn't work. The explosive potential that we talked about on Chalet has now shown up on Consulate, by the way, but it's been exclusively in the hands of SSG, barring maybe 1 or 2 rounds from Soniqs. 2 that just happened prior to the last. Biggest deficiency that we saw from Soniqs through those 2 rounds, they lost. Start of this half, were that they weren't playing as a team and they were playing very similar to SQ, unsupported. And again, on that 1 round, they tried to rotate back to the site and they got caught. If you could be unpredictable, kill drones. Solus is a must pick at this point for the intel that it denies and the intel it gains, as you saw from Ashen in the previous round. If you can be unpredictable and you can support each other, whether it be aided by the pulse, whether it be aided by the goo mine scattered about, and this will be a big advantage for SSG, and they've already got a lot of information off of Fultz's pulse.
Oh yeah, here we go. Forces back up those back server stairs by the soft wall outside of Visa. The cardiac sensor. Ashen, he sees multiple members on the drone. This seems to be the position where the Soniqs want to go for their entry for this split bomb site. Now Ashen's copier window, he'll get opened up. I'll have to back away momentarily. As you can see, he was looking to peek. He was looking to get that opener, as he has done so many times in this map, and now he'll be droned out by Merc. Outside on top of this balcony, which rarely gets use. It does have a nice angle towards that copy window. And now for Space Station, they've at least killed a little bit of clock, but SQ all working their way in towards Visa now. Ashen looking to be the Grim Reaper on Soniqs Opes.
He just missed out on the Osa's legs. Rexon will walk away unscathed, but look at how much information Space Station got in that first minute of this round. Both the Pulse and the Solus seem to have information on all 5 Soniqs players. That is an incredible use of utility here. And neither of them died either, so they'll be able to keep it up. J9O is the first one to die, and those are 14 kills in the grave. Grixer traded off by Iconic, and it's a 4v4. SSG knows that just a couple kills will be all it takes to book their ticket to Manchester.
So yeah, Iconic taking damage off screen. The impacts come out to deny the Osa shields, and Rexon now being chewed apart, has to evacuate the position. Adam is the man carrying the diffuser. There was a lot of work being done downstairs. You can see Rexon was retreating to recover that other Osa shield to bring it downstairs. Ambi, though, has made it into one of the bomb sites. He's made it into Tellers, but he's made it without the diffuser. The Nitro Cell goes soaring from Forest, and it will not claim any lives. The TCSG will ring out, however suppressed it is. Still able to do a hefty amount of damage. Nice shot there from Ambi, and another one follows up from Adam, who's carrying that diffuser. Ashen, though, springs to life. Fultz alone on the bomb site. The last 2 remaining defenders are separated. Now the descent to the Visa stairs. Ashen trying to catch that off over towards Ambi. Upstairs on the Visa stairs. Fultz trying to hold out down below. They don't know where he is. Fultz hiding in the corner. He gets his 2nd of the game. Can he get his 3rd? No. It's all up to Ashen now in the 1v2. Trying to play from above with the Solus scanner. So many indicators popping up left, right, and center, but here he comes from up above through the floorboards. Can he not hit the bars? He downs 1. It's not the planter. Adam able to stick the plant and rotate away to safety. They're both on about 100 health apiece. Now Ashen needs to go for the rotation down the stairs. Will he hear Adam on the opposite side of this soft wall? Rotation that was fashioned by the defense. The punch trying to bait Adam to move, and he will stand still like a statue Ashen trying to recover and retreat towards the diffuser, but there is no time remaining. He has to take the engagement. The pre-fire will reveal his location. Adam is playing the clock perfectly, playing Ring Around the Rosie, and now he'll go topside, force Ashen. He gets the down! Ashen, can he get there in time? No! No way! Ashen near seconds away from the clutch.
That would have been one of the finest clutches in the history of this league. And I can say such a statement based on the way they played it. If Ashen had committed on that first or second step, instead of trying to bait Adam out, that would have been the ball game. Round one by Soniqs, but as close as you can humanly get. The craziest thing is, you get a speed buff when you pull out your secondary, but not if it's the SMG-11, not if it's the bearing. Yeah, he probably would have gotten the kill if it had been a pistol, but if he did have a regular pistol as his sidearm, it was even possible. He might have been able to get there in time. Oh my. An exhilarating round. That's what we wanted to see between these teams.
Listen, Ashen is certainly stepping up, and J9O as well. And he's kind of fallen to the wayside. The rest of the team, there hasn't been a whole lot necessary to do. They have 30 kills between them right now for Space Station Gaming through 10 rounds, heading into round number 11. We needed all 15 on Chalet. And suddenly, it looked like Space Station was going to wrap this up in single-digit round count. But here come the Soniqs, escaping by the skin of their teeth, especially in that round. If Ashen's SMG-11 shots had just swayed to the right slightly and downed off Adam instead of the cover, that could have been lights out on the season for the Soniqs, but they're still in it. They still refuse to die. And now Space Station, they're on their back foot. They're going to go downstairs onto the defense, but you can see the operators they have selected. They want to roam and control as much of the map for the majority of the round.
Vigilance, not an operator that you see every day. He was playing unsupported upstairs. Fultz doesn't have a lot of kills, but the ones he does have, Rob, very high impact, very high value. Rex in the next to take his lumps. There goes J9O. Both of these teams want early action. We're only a minute in. Both have lost players, but Fultz is the gatekeeper at this point. Down goes Merc as well. Rexon in the midst. He's as good as gone. Adam saved the round previously. Can he do it twice in a row? If not, that's it for the Soniqs for this stage. So close. They picked up a new roster, a new look with these two new players. Adam has been a standout. Trickster coming back on has given this team new life. And for all their warts, they've come awfully close. 3 kills elude Adam. Manchester on the line for Space Station. Spotting the Hibana down below. Now it's Adam to thread his way through the site, watched by a Valk Cam. Continuing to, at this point, just tread water, but the final kill comes in for Space Station. They are Manchester bound. That's
Look at
right,
this
iconic.
celebration.
The King, Rob.
The King. They did indeed LYNH. And Space Station,
Well, they let him hang.
they let him hang. They, through the depths of the last chance qualifier, pull themselves all the way to the #1 seed, and in the LCQ, they win the grand final. And now for Space Station, we get the right sunglasses on. No fault. Okay, you're ruining it. I had a whole thing, but 4 out of 5 got the right pair of sunglasses on. So very well done to the rest of the team other than Fault. Space Station, they're able to get away, and they're able to take the 2-0 win.
Oh my. Oh my. It could have been over the previous round. It could have been over with that Ashen clutch. And it was a clutch. But just not in the nick of time. So what do? They course correct. And they ensure that it's a smooth landing. Not on the moon, but in England. SSG win 2-0, Rob.
They do indeed win 2-0. And with that, that is the conclusion of our last chance qualifier. To break everything down, we have one more desk segment. That's it for me and Parker, but the desk will see you on the other side of this short break.
And there we go, 2-0 victory in the finals. Space Station, well, they can start getting some plane tickets going over to Manchester. They have officially made it. Big congratulations to them. I mean, Fox, they came out of the gate in this final match, closing it out 2-0. We thought this was one that was going to go the distance, and they proved otherwise.
I mean, we thought it did. Obviously, the momentum, SSG is a momentum-heavy team, and after they got that first map, I mean, it was all them that whole time. It looked like they just not only were strategically step-by-step breaking down Soniqs, but individually, everybody on the team was hitting every single shot, always in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, that first map was undoubtedly what a grand finals deserved. It was a banger, 8-7. Anybody could have taken it. This map felt like SSG letting the world know they are the best team out of this LCQ. They will be going for North America to represent our region in Manchester, and I don't think there's a better 4 teams that could be going. SSG really proving that they can bounce back, despite the fact that they had some struggles this stage. They've really turned it around, and they look like a fantastic team right now.
They're proving that they could bounce back and proving the hunger that they had for this as well, Fox. I mean, being able to see the step-ups coming out from key players in these final 2 maps, I think was just absolutely humongous. And it was fantastic scenes to watch, let me tell you.
Yeah, I mean, every player was just multi-kill, was just a highlight reel from every individual player, specifically Ashen, but we'll get into him into a minute. I mean, I think everyone's got something to say about Ashen, but just the confidence level from SSG, specifically something that I noticed was on their top 4 CEO take. Every single time they were always going for that CEO jump in, and there was just nothing Soniqs could do to stop them from doing that. So you got to know, like, they really, let their, whatever the back of Force's name says, I don't know if I could say it, but they were literally letting it hang. They let their confidence run through, and they just didn't let Soniqs stop them at any moment.
Yeah, and I think it's a real testament to this team that anybody can step up at any moment and be the impact player. It's kind of ridiculous. J9O dropped like 15 kills this game, and it felt like he wasn't even worth mentioning just because how much was going on outside the server. He was obviously putting in an incredible amount of work for the squad, but everybody was, right? And we've got them both highlighted here. Ashen and J9O, 14 for J9, 16 for Ashen. Ridiculous impact, constantly getting in aggressive. The opening picks from Ashen as well, 3 and 2, constantly making sure that he was giving that early advantage to Space Station Gaming. I just don't think that there's another team like SSG. I truly believe that this is going to be a squad that, in a matter of time, maybe Manchester, maybe later, will be fighting in the grand finals because they just look so good when the pressure's the highest.
Yeah, and I mean, Fox, you touched on the fact that, we'll dive a little bit deeper into the performance that Ashen had, and this is definitely something we wanted to highlight very specifically on what he was able to step up and achieve here. I mean, Ashen on this team was just a bright spot in general, and I mean, was honestly just blinding in this last match. I mean, whenever you looked, it was 4K after 4K, and Ace stealing away, like, it was incredible.
Yeah, and to be a rookie, I mean, we talk about a rookie at this point. I mean, every single event, every single showing that he's had, he's been phenomenal performance-wise. But Jesse's right. I mean, when backs are against the wall, when the pressure is the heaviest, SSG always seems to prevail, specifically Ashen, when they really just let him off the leash and say, hey, you're shooting, you're cranking, you go do what you need to do best. And he's just always making sure that he's not only getting those kills, but still maintaining the bigger picture. He's one of the few rookies that has ever touched the game that is able to maintain that. He doesn't let it get to his ego. He doesn't let anything affect him outside of just wanting to win and wanting to be better. And that's something that I think every single player could just look at and just try to take something from that to be as good as Ashen, not only in game, but out of game too.
Honestly, the fact that it's still considered a rookie, I think is just absolutely crazy because I'm not seeing that when I'm seeing him hit the field, that is for sure. But I want to talk about this whole team now too, because with that, the rookie and the rest of the squad, Space Station, going on to Manchester. Jesse, I mean, we have to see that they're fixing some of these mistakes that we got to see throughout stage 1. They're looking strong, so I'm actually really excited to see them go on and be that final representative.
100%. I think the confidence was the biggest thing that was able to shine through in this LCQ Space Station. There were moments where they didn't feel confident. It didn't look like they really had control of their own game. But by the end of it, they were fully confident in themselves and their teammates. And you saw that reflected in the play, and you see it reflected in the scoreboard.
100%. But of course, we've talked so much about him, so we have to go talk to him and bring up our interview with Ashen. First off, just a huge congratulations. Sunglasses on, the whole team's celebrating. The vibes are immaculate. How are you feeling right now?
Feeling great, you know. Energy's pumped. Took 2 of these tonight, so you know, had to crank. So you know, yeah, morale's high. You know, was qualified. We worked on a lot of our issues. And, you know, we came in, we just cranked, and you know, made the ultimate goal. And now it's just we got to keep going on the next steps. Keep the train on the tracks.
I mean, you're definitely not a stranger to this path of having to qualify for a major through a last chance qualifier. Got to see that last time around with Atlanta. Besides the double energy drink, what's the secret to keeping that energy up and that momentum to be able to take such a strong win?
You know, just the team, you know, we're very tight bonded. You know, we all love each other in game, out of game, all that type of stuff. So, you know, we have a very close bond with each other, you know, with the backing of our coaches too, with Call Out and Alo, with our performance protocol, just, you know, being able to maintain the pressure, which is something I think we do really good with, that a lot of other teams don't even, like, you know, they don't really know how to deal with. You know, that just kind of keeps us calm, keeps us in it. And, you know, we always knew backs against the wall, we can always come back. You know, we've done it in events before, and we've done it even this LCQ down 2-6 the other day against Makers. So, you know, we're always in it no matter what.
It's definitely not fun when you're in a position when you're back against the wall here, but looking at the last chance qualifier and Space Station's run through this, do you feel like this maybe was a little bit of a blessing in disguise, an opportunity to fix a couple of the mistakes that you've gotten to see through stage 1 here?
Yeah, for sure. You know, during the season and playoffs, you know, those first 3 games where we were on a streak, and then, you know, some of our issues started to come out, and, you know, it was loss after loss, and, you know, every loss is a learn. You know, we're finding something out differently about each loss, and just going into playoffs, and how that's when I feel the pressure really got to us, and, you know, we just dialed in on the routine, you know, dialing on the pressure. We just, you know, we had some great practice going into it. So yeah, I think it was a blessing. It was definitely a blessing in disguise to have us go to this LCQ, and it just gave us so much time to work out our problems, and, you know, we're looking pretty good right now. So.
Definitely glad to hear, and super excited to see Space Station moving on to the major. One final question, more so just asking if you have anything that you want to say to the fans out there, the people that have supported you and the team as you've gone on through for this run.
Yeah, you know, obviously to our fans, you know, it's a little rocky road following us sometimes. You know, we can give you some heart attacks, but we love all of you. Thanks for sticking with it. Yeah, to the haters, just cry. Just keep crying.
Hopefully we can keep making them cry when we see you in Manchester. Ashen, congratulations once again. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your night, okay?
Thank you. Yep, you too.
You. All right, back over to the desk. I love those words at the end, Jesse, like to the haters cry. That is a statement. And I mean, if anyone's gonna back it up, I'd believe it'd be Ashen, honestly.
You expect nothing less from Ashen and the SSG boys, honestly. It's their moment. They've gotten the victory. The haters will cry, and their fans, I'm sure, will be celebrating. Fantastic performance through, and always good to hear from Ashen. I love this team just because they're not only extremely talented in the server, but outside of it, always characters, always great personalities, bringing that energy. And I'm excited for Manchester because there aren't very many teams that can get as loud and as exciting behind the camera, right, when you're seeing them live in the in-person environment. There's not very many teams that can be as entertaining as these guys, so it should be good to see them on land.
I'm surprised he even brought up the haters, because usually SSG is known for not really looking at any of the negative connotations, not looking at anything that's bad. They're just always focused on the positive, keeping a positive mental attitude and not letting any of that stuff get to them.
Hey, I love to speak your truth, you know? Just say it all, do not let anything go to waste. And I mean, going through this LCQ, I mean, Space Station, they definitely came out with something to prove here. And I'm happy to see that they're able to fix some things. I think this is just a really strong performance. And I think something that was really important that we touched on at the very beginning of the LCQ is if we wanted to see a team succeed at Manchester, we needed Fox to see a strong run through this bracket to even kick that off.
I mean, I completely agree. SSG was the only team that looked as strong as they did. All of the other Pro League teams and the T2 teams looked like one game was harder than the other, but SSG through and through their hardest game, no offense, but their hardest game was their first game against Makers. And in my opinion, that looked like the toughest game. And then everything forward was just them slowly getting that groove and getting their momentum going. And they were righting a lot of wrongs that they had in the start of the season. And I really do think the best of threes is where they fully were able to encompass what SSG is really about. And obviously we know from time and time again, the last two events, that they do really well when it comes to main stage, and they actually have that crowd behind them as well. So I'm excited to see, hopefully they make it to main stage. I would love to see them against the European crowd this time. It would be amazing to see.
It'll be so much fun. Final thoughts for the day, Jesse, any?
Yeah, I mean, just congratulations to Spacestation. Obviously looking really good right now. And of course, we had a lot of great teams bow out today. Oxygen, Luminosity, Soniqs. I think all those teams should be looking forward to the offseason. Some of them may need to make changes. Some of them I hope that they don't. Soniqs in particular, I want to see that team sticking together, working on their issues, coming back for stage 2, because that's a team that with enough time, I think will be a really, really good roster. But all in all, it was extremely fun LCQ. Sierra, it was amazing working with you. Fox as well. I know it's late where you're at, but obviously always a pleasure sharing the desk with you. And yeah, it's been a really enjoyable tournament so far, and I'm glad to have been here.
It has been such an incredible time. I'm so happy I got to join. And we'll wrap this up so Fox gets some sleep, because I know it's late where you are. But I have to say huge congratulations once again to Spacestation. And with that, that's it for us here at the North American League. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in Manchester.